Okay, so today was a fun one. It was actually probably one of the more enjoyable episodes I've done for myself, purely for myself, because I wasn't standing on ceremony. I mixed it all up. I tried a whole new structure for the podcast. We're sitting on couches, we're just in my living room, chatting, chilling, and it turned out. I'm pretty happy with it. Like I really enjoyed putting this podcast together. I thought it was fun. And the main reason kind of behind that was like, first and foremost, this dude's my friend. But first and foremost, this dude's a test tube baby. This dude's a science experiment. He's an amalgamation of when you put smart things together, you get this kind of blob. Real sharp dude. And he's younger than me too. I met him in college, and you'll see pretty quickly why I knew there was something different about him. His name is Oisin, and Oisin doesn't give a bollocks. Oisin is as true to his personality as anyone I've ever come across. And as a result, if you can roll with it, he is so much fun. He will talk to you about anything, and he won't just fluff his way through you. He just seems to have facts and knowledge and a reference for someone who said something in relation to what you're talking about all the time. And the birth of our relationship was like, I had a fascination with poking him and finding out like what sort of information did he have on this and what sort of information did he have on that, and I'm going to catch him out at some stage. And I used to just enjoy listening to him speak because he's so eloquent. He's got this vocabulary that's just, he's extremely loquacious. You like that one, Oisin? I got that from Harry Potter. And he just sort of flows along with this sequence of thoughts that I couldn't dream of ever stringing together. And so a lot of it is like me in the corner saying random things that don't make any sense, stumbling over my words, versus Oisin, who has to stoop to my level just to interpret the child language that I'm speaking before retaliating with some beautifully constructed sentence of logic and reasoning. I had originally brought him on as like a counter balance to the religious people I've had on, in order to sort of, bring equilibrium to the channel. And so I texted him after the Paul podcast went out and I said, bro, I want you to watch the podcast and put together arguments and bring you on, and you can be the alternative voice. And he's so intellectual that he's always has this ability to verbalize the sort of thoughts you have in your head. And I knew people who didn't like religion were going to love him. So I was like, golden opportunity to bring him on. So I sent the text. He receives it and goes, no problem, I'll do that. And within a couple of hours, he was already sending me these paragraphs of this. And I was like, okay, brilliant. I'm just going to leave Oisin do that, and I'll bring him on in a few weeks, and we'll roll it from there. But that didn't happen. So, like a lot of things in my life, I tend to have conversations with people in my mind that never come into reality, and then I make decisions based off conversations that didn't actually have. And so I restructured the entire reason I was bringing them on in my own world, that I was bringing them on to be able to experiment with this more laid back, easy system of a podcast where it's just a little bit more comfortable. But of course, I didn't inform Oisin of that. So what occurred wasn't exactly how either of us had planned it. But it turned out very funny, and it turned out quite enjoyable. So I rolled with it. It's a little raw in places. Some people may even get a little bit pissy at it. But this was a conversation between two mates. This is two friends sitting down in someone's living room chatting. That's what this is, and it was just caught on camera. We're both in a real relaxed setting. Like I'm sitting in my own living room having a conversation with somebody, and that's, I think, why it was so enjoyable. So I hope you get as much entertainment out of it as I did. This one might get me cancelled though. If anyone's going to get me cancelled, it's going to be this one. Nevertheless, we shall progress. Nice. You see as well, there's like two parts to it, where the camera switches over to the different setting. The next that sort of part 2 begins in the middle of a conversation. You'll get the knack of it pretty quick. But Oisin's had his own experiences with mental mishaps, and he's been super open with it. He took on all the advice that you should take on and experimented with it, and he worked his way through it. and analyze the different methods he took, and a lot of people are going to recognize the circumstance that he was in, and the drugs that he had to take, and all the rest that came around it. And I wasn't going to include it. It was personal information. I had hit play and sat back down, and the conversation just kind of kept flowing. So I was just, I'll leave it flowing. I'll just edit it out. But he was adamant. He goes, no, you can leave it in there, man. I'm happy for it to be there. And that's a mark of his character, is the fact that he's upfront with you, and he is what you get. And I respect him for that, like, because there's some personal information he talks about in there too, and he wants people to hear it, because you see, this is the thing, is that because he's gone through the valley of death, now he's the one that's able to sort of at least provide insights to what he experienced, and to maybe be able to help other people along it too. Please hit that like button, that subscribe button, and share the channel. Talk to people, bring people together, make this grow. Rambleland, episode 13, with Oisin Keevers.
Response, you're not able to filter it. That's what you want. Isn't that the whole point of this?
I don't know what the whole point is.
Should we get plastered before we do this so our filters are destroyed? I don't have a filter, I've noticed.
Yeah, I know.
I typically don't.
No, I had a guest who did get on to me about he texted me before we were scheduled to begin, and he goes, hey bro, is it cool if I bring a few beers? And I think he said, is it cool if I bring a bit of drink or something? He didn't specify on what type of drink.
You're using an American accent, is that intentional?
No, when I'm kind of telling stories, I kind of fluctuate between the different accents.
I typically knows that you do it to associate with annoying personalities. You use an American accent. Do you realize you do that? Because
No.
you do. Every time, whenever you want to tell a story about an annoying person, you use an American accent. Where you were telling me about that person that was in your queue that you were trying to get out because there was too many people. You were using an American accent.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, you were.
Was I?
Yeah. Some ingrained disdain for the American
That's what you
people.
call racism. That's that subconscious
America's
racism.
not a race, Hitler.
They carry on like they're a race.
A race of blackguards.
No, I had
A race of bloody Egypts.
that's British, but
Egypt?
well, British is or Egypt is Irish, but like bloody Egypt. Oh yeah, okay.
No, bloody Egypt.
Bloody idiot. Would be.
I said bloody fool.
What was that supposed to be?
I don't know. It was meant to be like a thick Irish farmer accent.
Sounded a little twang of Mumbai.
Yeah.
You bloody fool.
Yeah, it did a bit. Kind of Apu. You know, they've replaced Apu.
Yeah, because he's not
Because
actually
of the
Indian.
big- Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole point of the show that is the entire cast was made up of like 5 people. You know, each actor played multiple characters. And it was meant to be just an expression of their incredible artistry. You know, the guy who plays Mo plays Burns.
Ah, stop.
Yeah, completely different voices. You'd never know. But there you go.
There was
And I think he does Apu actually. No.
there was some other person now has had to step down from voice acting a character that they aren't the embodiment of.
I doubt this is what you're referring to, but there was a bit of controversy around that, around My Hero Academia.
No.
But it was funny because the idea was that a lot of people were coming on and being like, oh, why didn't you get a black character to voice the black character? It was a black woman that was voicing the character.
No way.
But they were giving out because the voice sounds too white, is what they were like saying. Like, oh, why'd you get a white character? And then the voice actor came out and was like, excuse me? And all these people that were obviously getting up on their high moral horses to be like, yeah, I'm supporting the socially conscious choice. And then they were advocating for the black actress to get the fuck out of there, get a blacker voice. Is that not more racist?
That is more racist.
They want a blacker voice. What do they want him to come on and be like, where's my fried chicken, motherfucker? You know? Like a really poor Samuel L. Jackson impersonation.
There's another show though that someone else said. So name the big shows. It could have been a poo that I saw.
Name the big shows.
That's
so vague. What do you want in animation?
Yeah. That have
Futurama?
no.
South Park? They had to get rid of Chef, but that was because he was a Scientologist. And he was the only black character, I think. Or there's some black characters in the show that are real people, like they have a Morgan Freeman character. But as far as original South Park characters, I think it was just Chef, and they had to get rid of him because he was a Scientologist.
The voice actor was a Scientologist.
Yeah. But then they did an episode.
Why is that a problem?
It was a problem for him.
Oh.
He was like, I can't do it. It's against my beliefs or whatever. He found it too crude now.
He obviously didn't start off when he joined South Park as a
No. He was just a normal guy.
And he converted to Scientology.
He went fucking nuts.
But
they did then an episode after he left, and the way they got rid of the character of Chef was that he joined Scientology. In typical South Park fashion, you know.
And that was his send-off.
Yeah.
And that's why he's not allowed to cook at the school anymore.
Oh, I guess so. I don't know. I'm not. I've seen maybe 5 episodes of South Park. I know it's this thing I should kind of get on, but to be honest, I'm not a big fan of crude humor. Even when it's done well, even when there's some nuance to it,
You just made a black fried chicken
That's
joke.
not crude. That's
Racist.
offensive. Crude. Crude, like gross out humor, you know? And South Park is rife with that. You know, people shitting in other people's mouths and all that kind of crap.
That's not really in it.
It probably is.
You've got
One
the two
episode that I
Canadians who
remember-
fart in each other's faces all the time.
One episode I remember distinctly is people were getting high from licking cat anuses. And there's a character who's a sentient piece of shit that delivers presents to children. The Hanky, the Christmas poo. Mr. Hanky.
Oh yeah, Mr. Hanky the Christmas
He's
poo.
a sentient turd.
We need Tom for this conversation. Tom would...
Big South Park guy.
Oh, massive.
Sure, he invited to his place that one time to watch that new South Park episode.
Yeah.
And that was about people stealing famous people's shit to shove up their own colons. You're telling me South Park isn't crude and gross out humor?
I didn't even notice, like... I don't notice half the time, man.
Desensitized to it, man.
Yeah, I probably am. And
Stuff like American Pie. Do you remember American Pie?
I wasn't allowed to watch it.
Such a piece of shit.
Wasn't allowed to watch it.
That's the only reason people did watch it. Because they weren't allowed to watch it. It was kids. Like, it was a college movie. Nobody who's in college watches college movies. You know?
Other than the college stoner movies. Like Mac and Dem go to high school. And, well, not such a college movie. 21 Jump Street. Again, that's...
It's not really a
yeah, it's
stoner
not a college. Yeah.
And it's also, again, high school, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Fucking gotcha, you prick. Trying to make me look foolish. I'm going to take over this.
Give me a minute. I'm going to come up with a... Like, what do you call a college movie?
A movie that's centered around people in college.
Okay, that was kind of fairly self-explanatory.
What do you think it was going to be? Movies about space exploration. That's what I fucking mean by a college story.
It was weird. I remember when I first realized what coming of age meant. Like it's behind you, it's further back again. Yeah, I didn't realize that coming of age meant coming of sexual maturity, or the essence. When you hear the phrase coming of age,
it just means maturing. I don't think it means in an explicitly sexual manner. I hope it doesn't.
Well, part of maturing is puberty and sexual awareness.
Oh yes, sexual maturation.
Yeah,
maturation.
Yeah, that works.
Maturation in a biological capacity, but not so much in I've lost my virginity sense.
Yeah.
Is that what you're?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, yeah.
I don't think it does.
No,
because a lot of movies that are described as coming of age movies, they're very tame, and they often revolve around a kid.
Yeah, but that's the whole idea. The innocence of childhood being transitioned into the more...
Yeah, but they don't then fuck other kids.
No, but no one's talking about shagging kids.
I asked you, was that what you were inferring? And you said, yes, that's what I'm getting at.
Oh, I misunderstood you. I thought you meant...
Crank up that 2%, Tim. Give me 100. This isn't recording now, is it?
It is, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
This is the podcast?
Yeah, I just wanted to smooth our way into it. Like.
Oh, this is so shit.
No.
This is the podcast.
No, this is fine. You see, you've already loosened up, you see.
Oh, I'm loose as all hell.
No, because you were...
It's a good thing that I didn't eat too much, because no, I'm not saying that. This is recording.
Yeah, and your racist comments in it there too.
They were.
Give me fried chicken.
Oh yeah, delete that.
Do we have to?
Insist upon. I'm going to, on multiple occasions throughout this podcast, I'm going to insist that you cut out sections.
And I'm going to literally keep those in. That's actually going to be...
Sorry.
that's going to be in the intro. Is every section you ask me to cut. I'm just going to... right in the middle.
You can compile it as like the clips. The Rambleland clips.
Clips Oh yeah, with the
You-
title.
yeah, you edited
the
out your
ones
clips.
Oisin didn't want me to show.
Don't say my name. My name means nothing.
Your name means everything, bro. It's the most beautiful sound a person can hear is the sound of their
Like
own name.
Tiernanog. That's what it's derived from. I don't like it.
Oisin
I
and
don't like
Tiernanog.
Oisin. It's too Irish, I think.
What's wrong with that?
In France, it's pronounced as Oisin, because the OI makes a what sound. So all my French relatives, they can't say my name.
They call you Oisin.
Oisin. Oisin. Like hoisin sauce. Yeah.
Or where was he? Yeah, he was in there.
Oh look, because then they'll speak French. Oisin, il est où Oisin?
What does that mean? Where is Oisin?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's simple. That's secondary school stuff, Tim. Come on.
I didn't do French in school.
Did you? What
No,
did you
no. Spanish.
We didn't have Spanish as an option. We had it in transition.
Well, we
And
technically
then what was the point?
had Spanish as an option, but whether Spanish was actually taught, that's up for debate. Man, we had the worst Spanish teacher you could ever imagine. This little Oompa Loompa with this thick, caked orange makeup. She smelt of cat piss.
No.
She used to have this belly she used to contain with this like 4-inch belt. Buckle alone looked
corset.
like a miniature corset. It was a genuine belt, but she kind of
Sure.
and she kind of fall into it. It was like
You need a wider corset, because the problem is if you just get the slim corset, it's just going to fold around it.
she wouldn't fit in a
You're just
corset.
going to absorb it
There's
in.
no corset big enough to fit this woman.
It's like those people that are like so fat that they find a couple of years later like a cat in their body.
That didn't happen.
It's happened.
No, it has not.
It has happened.
Shut up.
People, like I'm talking about these Jabba the Hutt style people that have just gone to such the point where they literally can't get out of bed, and they usually have. The problem is that they usually have these sycophantic partners that are like weedy and skinny, and they just have this weird fetish about obese people, and so they just feed them and feed them and feed them. You know, they're not living a life anymore.
But
know,
that cat story
they're
couldn't
just
be
a
true.
receptacle for. Well, yeah, they had like a pet cat, and the pet cat like just got crushed, and then it just got
But
lost.
she definitely felt it getting crushed.
How could you?
There's still nerve endings, I think, in the skin. Like, just because you're mega
Surely
fat doesn't
if
mean you don't
it's-
feel stuff.
Yeah, but surely when you get to that point where it's been stretched out, it probably dulls it to a good extent, I'd imagine. I don't know.
I don't know either. Good
This
question.
was just on one of these things. It was like my 500-pound life. You know those shows? And they have that. Yeah. It was just one of those things where like some woman killed her cat by accident. I was exaggerating the idea that she like found it a couple of years later. It's just for comedic effect.
Those shows that look at those kind of poor people, man, are there's always an aspect like what we were saying earlier about whether the interviewee is actually the most or the least important person in this scenario. Again, are you raising awareness by videoing these fat people, or are you
There
really
are
getting
no
entertainment out of their obesity?
benevolent intentions behind those shows. Those shows are just, you know, they're for vicarious thrills from people that feel they're unhealthy, and then go and watch those shows and be like, look at that fat piece of shit. It's for people that aren't very healthy to have someone as like a receptacle for their to put their sort of self, I won't say hate, self-hate is too strong a word,
It's definitely an easy one.
Deprecation.
They just they look at them and go, well, at least I'm not as fat as that person.
Yeah, that's what I'm making. Alright, will we get into this now? So
Well, what do you want to get into?
the podcast.
We're in the podcast, bro.
Okay.
This is the podcast.
I feel like we should have a definitive starting point,
We had a definitive starting point.
because all of this has been mindless chatter. And see, now the problem is that legitimately, now that we're talking about it, this right now, that back then that could have been fine. This right now, this is bad audio.
What's wrong with the audio?
I mean like us talking about.
Fat people.
No, us talking about the idea that this is bad audio. Us debating whether or not this is
No.
the start of the
With
podcast.
podcast, it's more natural. This is the natural vibe I'm going for.
Yeah,
This is just a recorded.
I don't think anyone's going to want to listen to this.
Ah,
I don't
man.
think anyone wants to listen to a conversation when people are capable of having their own conversations.
Bro,
When it's an interview,
man, YouTube is full of it. The sidemen literally are paid millions of
They
pounds per the sidemen. Do you not know sidemen? I'm delighted you don't know Sidemen. Finally, someone else who doesn't know Sidemen.
Oh, we're looking at the camera now, are we?
Yeah. This is what there's certain people now are going to see this and they're going to know who I'm looking at. But yeah, Sidemen, English, non-musical boy band. Does that get across what they are?
The non-musical part is a bit confusing.
Yeah. So boy band is like the anything I'm going for, but they're not musicians or anything. Like Entourage. There we go. Entourage. Perfect. So like they were originally gamers and they're from a few different sort of...
Most YouTubers usually are.
Yeah.
Gaming and controversial politics. Those are the
definitely
two things
not
you
politics.
need.
They never stepped into politics. Just
No. I'm saying these are the two things you need to make a following. People like to frame this narrative, controversial political YouTubers. They like to frame this narrative of being like, YouTube's trying to cancel me and people are trying to stop me. And then at the very end they'll be like, anyways, go onto my Patreon.
Yeah.
You know? And it gets all these people that like to think they're like the main character in a fucking George Orwell novel. You know, like they're the last free thinker in some dystopian future, and they're like, I gotta support this bullshit, you know. And then so they'll pump money into this asshole who's just feeding into this insecurity that you're not actually existing in some dystopian future where you're being mistreated. You're just living a fucking life. This is human life. The human condition is causing your suffering, not some guy talking about how he identifies as a fucking pig or whatever.
So back to Sidemen. They
oh, sorry. Yeah, go on.
Just you gamers, YouTubers came together.
Blender bottle, delicious.
All their boys in product placement. He's ruining my. He's like that's unpaid. No.
Yeah, but it's a good product.
What brand is it?
A blender bottle.
Are they branding themselves?
That's all that it says on it. Just blender bottle.
Did you get that in Lidl?
My mother got it for Christmas because I needed a bottle. Didn't have one.
Nice. Yeah, Sidemen. Group of boys come together. They just muck around. That's all they do. They just muck around. Now, content's very clever, very high production value. To be fair, incredibly high. For want of a better word, yeah, vlogs. And literally, their content is nothing special. It's brain dead, right? It's absolutely brain dead. I don't watch it, and I slag my housemates who do. They're well into it, like whatever. And I can understand the entertainment value for it as well, because as I said, the concepts are quite clever for a lot of them. Like they do this live Tinder-esque sort of staged thing where they bring in girls and the fellas stand up and they hit them with their best shut up line, and the girls swipe
so
left
demoralizing.
Right. Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like, but
I mean, if you ever wanted to see, like, I haven't even seen it, but I guarantee you, a big appeal is just seeing a man's confidence be immediately shattered.
The difference is though, you love the Sidemen, you see, and it's all in this sort of facade of banter, and even if he gets shot down, it is very funny. Cause
for you.
No, for them too. All the boys are laughing. It's their group of buddies.
Shot down though.
Yeah. They're all pissing themselves laughing because you see they're aiming.
On the inside, man.
What?
On the inside.
No. It's all part of it. Like, okay. But as going back to what you're saying, that no one wants to watch this. The fact is that people will watch anything if it's there, genuinely. Like we can get into it. We can have a structured beginning, and we can have a launch platform. And I can knock off all the earlier bits and pieces. I may take a snippet or two out of it because I thought something was kind of funny. But on a genuine note, as a starting point, you can create absolute horrible viewing and it will get watched if it's on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube is a cesspit. I agree. Yeah. That's the point you were making. Right?
Anything there.
YouTube's a cesspit.
Pour it into it.
YouTube is the
with some gems.
Is the runoff from unpiloted TV shows, like TV shows that couldn't even get a pilot, you know, or
yeah. Or they're trying to get up and running.
People that don't have the talent to be real celebrities, to be real artists. Oh, YouTube.
What are you saying, Oisin?
You know,
spit it out, boy.
You untalented fuck. You uncultured swine.
Why did I bring you on again?
Because I give that good dick. There you go. Is that good? That's good content, is it? That's something you're going to cut out? A little snippet?
Nah, that'll be the title of the entire podcast.
Yeah. I don't have a name. It's just good dick.
Good
man.
dick. Good dick, man. watch the response on media blow up for you. Who's that good dick man?
Surely YouTube's got to have some sort of content shut down if you labelled.
We'll put a star in the middle of it, like
little hashtag.
Then it's a different word.
I prefer shows and I prefer media that actually bleeps the swear words because I think it's funnier. I think it's funnier because you can always tell what it is. It's like fuck, you know, like that's fuck. You hear fuck when people go fuck. You know, I can't do it with my mouth. Obviously, that wouldn't be possible. But I think it's way funnier because you can do these jokes that are premised around the idea of they're saying something so horrible, but we're bleeping it, and then you have characters look at it and be like, you know, they're in shock at the thing. Arrested Development did a really good one where the character Buster. You know Arrested Development?
No, never watched
heard of it.
I've seen it, yeah, and I've seen the ad for it on Netflix. Never watched.
Yeah, then Netflix took it up. They did their own. They revitalized it after it had been gone for like 12 years.
Oh, it's an old show.
It was an old show for the first 3 seasons, which are near flawless. Okay, and then the problem is they revitalized it after 12 years. But the people that had written it, they've changed. They're completely different people now. It was 12 years ago. They can't write the same. It's not that they're bad.
They've moved on, like,
but
mentally
they can't replicate, and that's what they were trying to do. It was made by the same people, but they were trying to replicate their old sense of humor, their own style, and they couldn't do it because it evolved past it.
Yeah.
Well, evolved, devolved. You know, in an artistic sense, it's all ultimately relative beyond, you know, like it's as subjective as it could be.
Well, it's the same with people who get into stocks. Like the word is that like you've got like 20 or 30 or so years where you're going to be really useful in stocks, but you actually age out. It's a thing that relates to current trends and to whatever's going on in the market and the way the economy is progressing. And there actually is a point where even if you really, like, Warren Buffett's one of the few boys who even in his old age has managed to stay relevant, but that's because he's got so many people around him who are able to keep him relevant.
He's not investing, is he?
He's still investing.
No, but I mean like he as himself.
Probably not, yeah.
He's just paid people to be like, hey, make good use of this money.
Yeah.
He's investing in investors, perhaps.
Yeah. But it's the same, I suppose, with like creators and stuff, is the mindset, the whole environment, the way society influence you to create that, the comedy or the production, whatever you produced, has changed. And to be able to step back into that world, you're missing a whole...
And they took 12 years away from it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you look at a guy like Larry David. Larry David has such a distinct style of comedy, and he's managed to, if anything, improve it with time. The man's 77 years old, and he just released season 10 of Curb Your Enthusiasm, came out very recently. I think it's one of the best seasons to come out.
I've never watched it. I only know the theme tune because it kept getting used in memes.
Yeah, it's a. I don't know if it's because of its association with the meme, but no other musical track so succinctly captures such a specific and uncommon emotion. You know, the Curb Your Enthusiasm, it's taken on a life of its own, and that it associates with these moments that we can all sort of picture in our minds, and we have anecdotes that revolve around them. But the fact that it's able to capture that feeling in the song, you know,
it is pretty cool the way. So
I presume it's the association that people have made to it, but it doesn't matter. It's the fact that it signals that, like a Pavlovian response for cringe, you know. It's good.
What's Pavlovian?
Pavlovian response.
Yeah.
Pavlov was a guy who worked with he was a neuroscientist, and he did this experiment with dogs where he would ring a bell and then he would feed them, and then he would do this for a while, and then it got to the point where he'd ring a bell and they would start slobbering because they'd made the connection between the bell and the food. And a Pavlovian response to something would be say you only ever get visited by your girlfriend, right? Again, this is crass. I don't like the crassness of it. But let's say if you get your girlfriend, okay, and then whenever
I see where this is going.
Yeah, so then whenever the doorbell rings, you get a boner, right?
Yeah.
That would be a Pavlovian response would be a stimulus, any sort of somatic stimulus, and it would produce a physiological response. Why was I talking about that?
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh yeah.
That sort of
hearing that sound, it makes you kind of it makes you go that kind of cringe and like but in a kind of
playful,
in a pleasurable way, because it's
yeah.
usually people that like they've gotten their comeuppance, you know.
Yeah.
People who in some way have deserved
Almost like a comical
awkwardness.
karma.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
Right, we'll see if we can put a bit of structure on it. So
Sure. I thought the idea was when you pitched this to me initially, you wanted to do one on religion.
It was.
And the idea would be that I thought what we were going to do is that each of these, that we'd do a couple of these over time.
Yeah.
And then each of these would be centered around a specific topic.
Yeah, there was a big aspect of that, alright, that I was planning to do. And then I just wanted to try and, when we sat down today, we were already talking when I was pressing record, and I just wanted to let it slide because sometimes I didn't. So as I was talking to you about the guest who changed once the camera came on, I was trying to circumnavigate that and see if I could.
Want to call him out on camera?
No. And yeah, I wanted to see if I could circumnavigate that without being like, okay, right, cameras are on now, right, come on, let's. So today we have Oisin, and Wushin is going to talk about. Wazin is going to talk about fuzzy wuzzy bears, and I was just trying to see what happened, but I understand that.
I get that, but the problem is that I'm not making an effort to entertain anyone but you.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to understand that you can't look at this as a way to facilitate personal entertainment. You have to acknowledge that what's entertaining to you and what's entertaining to you in the moment, even if, let's say if you were to take someone that was listening to this, if you were to transpose them into your position, they may enjoy this conversation a lot more because they're able to actively engage with it. But when you're listening to it, when you have all of this fucking media to filter through, all of these different things that are vying for your time, why the fuck would you listen to this, you know? When all it is just mindless conversation that you more than likely have had some variation of in your own life.
Again, I'll throw it to you, Sidemen. They're literally just boys that are mucking around.
Above that?
What?
Weren't you slagging them off? Don't you want to be above that?
I was slagging them off. That is true. Yeah. Fair. That's a good point. Yeah.
At the very least, this kind of conversation is fine so long as it's interspersed with some sort of topic that people can grasp onto. Some sort of structure.
Well, I thought we would have fallen into that naturally because that's where our conversations go anyway. I'll sit down beside you in a class and, well, Oisin, how was your night?
Yeah, but then what's the class?
Well, the class is irrelevant. Me and you would end up in a conversation that is just way too intense that came from nowhere. Yeah, and so I thought we may fall into that naturally anyway.
We would have, and we might now that it's been brought up. But the thing is that, honestly, I still very much doubt this is going to make it into the podcast. Because it's, like I said, it's
this will.
It's preamble. This might.
This will.
But this is preamble, you know?
It's
that sort of banter. You know, where you'll see in some shows, they'll fade into the conversation.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of stuff where what came before it is irrelevant. It's just meant to establish assumed rapport on the audience's behalf between the interviewer and interviewee. You know, it's like, oh, look at that. They were talking before. They're friendly, you know? And it for stuff like this that is a lot more free form and a lot more laid back, that's vital. You need your audience to feel comfortable, and you need them to feel comfortable by association, being that we have to feel comfortable. We have to feel comfortable with each other, you know? Like we've known each other for what, like almost 2.5 years now? Yeah, it's a lot shorter than I always thought. I remember we were saying it on the phone the other day. That it was only that long. I was like, nearly 4 years now. Well, because we met each other 4 years ago, but we didn't really talk.
Yeah. You were
partly my fault. Yeah.
You
I didn't really go to class.
Yeah. And when you did, you just gave out about what the lecturer was saying. You just argued.
I don't think I did.
You argued a lot.
Yeah, but that was the point.
I actually think we bonded over the fact you made another girl. She didn't cry, but do you remember in one of the seminars?
Shit, I hope I didn't do that.
You did, yeah. You shot all over something she said. You were just like, and you didn't even mean it. And I was in stitches sitting beside you because you were like, well, that's just ridiculous. And then you just, you nailed it to the wall. So I can't even remember what the topic was. And I remember like, whoa, this boy doesn't play around.
That story is framing me in one of two ways. One, as an uncaring asshole. Two, as an autistic, overly intellectualized person, right?
How did you bring up autism, Oisin? Have you ever been tested?
My teachers in primary school actually was like, they were on to my mother being like, he is ADHD and he is ADD and he is difficulty learning, he's dyslexia, all this kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
And thank God my mother just went like, shut Shut the fuck up. I'm taking him to a different school. That's what I did. We went to a different school.
Serious?
And it's why that I'm actually a lot younger than a lot of the people in my year, because
the new school you dropped into was...
I jumped into the year above me, because the year before was apparently full. So I went at third year in primary school. No, not third class rather. Third class in primary school, we left, and I went right into fourth class.
So they never tested you for autism?
No.
There's always a few that slips through the cracks.
I have an autistic cousin, but I have an autistic cousin who he's on the level of autism whereby his capacity to self-identify as autistic has been divested of from his character.
Yeah.
That was a shitty way to say that. He's been divested of the capacity to self-identify. That would have been a much better way to phrase it.
So does he just...
He's one of those autistic people who, like...
He'll say anything?
No. If you touch him, he screams.
Okay.
You know,
he's
on the level of autism where he literally can't function. It's sad to see, particularly because of the toll it takes on the parents.
Yeah,
their life is more or less non-existent outside of caretaking.
Well, there's a new life. It's an involuntary acceptance of a new life, whereby you just have to take on this new responsibility and just do the best you can with it. And like it's the same with anyone who has a special needs kid. Like your life, it's not that you have no life anymore. It's you have to either take on a new life or hate yourself for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean,
most people do transition over. Like,
I respect the hell out of it, but
yeah,
honestly, I don't think you know the way where one of the arguments for pro-life is this idea that if people are able to abort their babies, and coupled with the fact that we can now tell prenatally what a baby, any sort of deficiencies a baby's going to have, well, then people are going to abort Down syndrome babies and stuff like this. I don't like to admit it, but I don't think if I was told your baby is going to be whatever, I probably would take that.
That's a pro-choice argument, so.
Yes.
You said pro-life.
But I'm not arguing from...
You said one of the pro-life arguments is that...
No, one of the pro-life arguments is that this is... Well, yeah, that this is a
yeah.
And I look at it, and don't get me wrong, just because I would do it, I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, there's some moral qualms that I would have with it, but I know that I would more than likely avail of that opportunity. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm fucking 20. What the fuck do I know? By the time that I get to the point where, hopefully by the time I get to the point where I have a kid, I'm going to be a bit more mature,
You should be able to hold hands with a girl first, though. You know that, right?
Oh, but they got cooties. Cooties, gross.
So there's probably not a bad place to put a platform on it. So I did want to bring you on in response to the Paul episode to give a balance, because I've had a good few.
I didn't watch all of it, by the way.
Usually one job. I give you one job coming here.
But I mean, I remember I made the argument to you that I shouldn't watch it because ultimately that was coming from such a specific perspective, being biblical, or not biblical, Christian apologetics.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Christian apologetics, and ultimately what I could have learned from the episode, if I was just come on and debate that, it would just be a regurgitation of his points.
Yeah. So it wasn't...
If I was to... so that might be a good point to start off. My sort of authority on the subject... I'm going to look at the camera, because I'm talking to the audience, because you already know this. My authority on the subject... It's weird now.
Yeah, it is weird. Don't look at the camera, man.
I'm going to look at you.
Redner.
It's my authority on subject is going to be largely regarding the philosophical of it. Because as far as biblical history and the actual more structural elements of Christianity and more organized religions, a lot of that I'm not very well versed in. I bumped the microphone. I've just read a lot. I've read a not inconsiderable amount of religious philosophy. So that is all I can really argue from. Yeah. And of course I can argue from the perspective of my own beliefs, which is, to state officially,
don't look at the camera, man. That black hole of misery will suck you in,
and the problem is it spirals in.
So it
kind of draws your eyes into the pinhole.
It's just... I love how you got spooked the first time you looked at it. You're like, oh.
So I started talking. I was like, this is weird. Talking to an inanimate object.
But, it is weird.
With the tacit understanding that there is an audience behind it. It's an odd sensation. And it's particularly odd because, as you know, I'm not on any social media.
No, not at all.
So I've never really engaged with anything on that degree.
It's funny actually when I was starting out
Okay,
this
hold on.
project.
Before we go into another tangent.
Yeah,
I am an atheist, and Tim is, you wouldn't say frame it as a theist, but he would be a theist.
yeah,
And particularly, I believe, Baptist
yeah.
would be...
Born Baptist, but has since sort of developed my own sort of personalized faith. So it'll be the concept of born again Christianity is the
Born again Baptist?
no born again Christian is a particular sort of recognized position of Christianity where so Jesus would describe people. He says you must be born again. In other words, when you commit your life to God, it's like you're starting a whole new life and you have to take on all these new responsibilities and characteristics.
Sure.
And so that got its own sort of term within Christianity of being born again Christian. In other words, it's a real simple personal faith. Aside from Catholicism, Baptist, Protestants, Anglican, all these different groups, aside from all that, was just this sort of universally recognized term as a special branch of Christian.
Okay. But, so you, I mean, what would your official...
Like on paper, I was born to a Baptist church, a Reformed Baptist church.
Yeah.
There's a handful of Reformed Baptist churches in Ireland. Real simple belief system. Just as literal from the Bible as not literal, sorry, as clean cut from the Bible as possible.
Yeah. From what I understand of baptism is that it's essentially Christianity minus the church's influence.
No, because Baptists would be their own church, for want of a better term.
Would you have a church?
We have a church, but there'll be like a...
It would be more community based.
No, not even. Like it's a church, just like a Catholic church is. You go Sunday, you have your service, you've got all your trimmings. You like when you if you're an adult and you're looking to join the church, there's certain like things you have to agree with. It's called the church. Oh, my father would be killing me now over this one. How did I forget this? The ethics, the constitution. There's a term given to the basic fundamental beliefs you have to have in order to join Reformed Baptists. Okay. So all that what you'd recognise as a church still stands there. But I, as an individual level, have stepped away from these labels.
I think that's very much part and parcel of the Baptist. I mean, again,
originally, the Baptists would have stepped away
from.
What
little I do know about it, it's that one of their founding, one of the founding beliefs that differ them from other, Christians, Catholics, so on, is that they believe that every individual has the capacity to be their own minister, their own priest in a sense. They have their own way of praying and their own way of connecting with God.
Well, it's called having a personal faith.
Yeah, sure, but none of them are.
But the fundamental one though is that you're not baptized as a child. You have to make the decision to get baptized.
I think I was baptized.
You would have been, yeah. That's what I'm saying. One of the characteristics of Baptists.
So I've been unfairly denied my opportunity to be a Baptist.
No, you can get baptized into the Baptist church. Yeah,
I've already been baptized.
But we'd look at your baptism as being bullshit. Like there's nothing there. Like there's nothing. That's that you weren't baptized. You didn't make that choice. Your parents dunked you in water. But that doesn't mean anything. Like the Bible doesn't recognize you as saved now because your parents did something. You didn't make any active.
Shit, really?
Autonomy. Yeah, no.
Oh no.
Yeah, and that's like part of the problem.
Tell me, I'm gonna have to take another bath. I haven't taken a bath since. I'd be fucked if I do again.
Yeah, you'd wash away half your body weight. So we brought you in because I brought you in because you
the Black Slate Media team.
I always say we as well, and even in the Instagram post I say we.
It's good. It creates this idea that you've got a sort of system behind you.
Yeah.
It's not just you toiling away. Yeah.
And it sounds like when you're writing academic papers, you don't say I think this, me thinks, I said. You say the author would be of the opinion.
Even do that. See, this is why I much preferred writing philosophy papers as opposed to sociology or criminology. Because in philosophy, you're very much
expected to.
Not even expected. You're promoted. It's promoted that you would give your perspective and that you would make it implicit that it is your perspective.
Okay, we're going off tangent again. So I wanted to bring somebody on who wouldn't be from the fundamental Christian side of the world, and so you have a great way of articulating your position and your condemnation of religious beliefs as a...
Don't oversell it.
As a...
Because what if I
save it for the intro, so...
Exactly. but only save it for the intro if I succeed. Because if I give a shitty performance, and then you were going on about like, oh, what an articulate genius, what a handsome man, what a incredible specimen of man. I'm sure this is all things you would say. I'm sure you will say. But then I give a shit performance. Oh, it would make you and me seem like an idiot.
Primarily just you.
But you by association, because this is your program.
I know.
You're meant to filter the guests. It's your job to keep the trash out.
But yeah, so I was looking for a way of introducing you, and I thought after the Mark one, you sent me a flurry of texts being like, this is it, this is this. And I was like, okay.
I can't remember what I said.
Oh, I can't either. Like you send a barrage of messages every time. There's like 15.
Yeah.
I feel my phone blowing up. I'm like, is someone ringing me? I'm like, no, it's just Oisin.
That's how I write.
And I'm like, I'm just going to leave that there, and I'll come back in half an hour.
I'll send it on in paragraphs. So I write it all in one thing, then it's just, I'm going to get lost at one point in the text, because I'll have to scroll through on the little box that they provide for you to actually preview your text, so I just send it in paragraphs. It's much easier.
Yeah, and that's why I get theses. I'll have 16 messages waiting to be read, and I'm just like, I'm going to have to leave that till tomorrow. Like, I do not have me and me now to read all those now. But
You're welcome.
Once again, more tangents, because that's characteristic of our conversations.
That's your job. I'm leaving that to you.
I was looking. It's going to be a task today. Like, I actually might turn on the heat as well. Give me 2 minutes.
Turn on the heat. Fuck, yeah. I'm gonna take off my jumper. So.
Okay. John, some more water. Snacks or anything?
No, I still got some more. What kind of snacks you have?
Crisps, but I don't know how it's going to work with the mic.
No, yeah, no. I won't. None.
Stay away. I can't get too casual, I suppose.
Yeah. You still gotta. Yeah, go for it.
Keep a certain aspect of professionalism going.
Disgusting filtered water. It's got a very minerally taste.
I don't know what you're saying.
Seems like
I think it's the absence of chlorine is what you're tasting. What you're tasting is actual water.
Feels like I'm sucking on the barrel of a shotgun.
It's worse than what you usually suck on.
Yeah, you would know. That's a self burn. Actually, oh, it's sturdy. I thought that was adjustable. That would kind of spring up and down. Right.
So we dropped the Paul episode, and I said, "Man, have a look at the Paul episode. See what you think of it." And you actually ended up coming back in a manner that I wasn't expecting, because you actually came back with the whole arguments. You started writing arguments pro.
I started. I wasn't so making pro arguments so much as I was taking out arguments that could be taken from either side. I think one of them that came across in the first half an hour was this idea that moral culpability in an individual's association with an organization that has done morally questionable things. Mm-hmm. So let's say if you were a Christian, or from his perspective, being that he's an apologist, apologist.
Apologist,
yes, he's an apologist. Is that he's associated with the Christian church, and the Christian church has done some horrible, horrible things.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people use this as an excuse to sort of invalidate the religion itself, as opposed to the religious structures that surround it and are corrupt.
Yeah. And
so moral culpability would be in the idea that if you as a person agree with this, let me frame it a different way, in a much more humorous way. It's what I like to refer to as the man covered in shit argument. Okay? If you make an impassioned speech, it's well formed, it's well structured, it's persuasive, it's articulate, and then a guy covered in shit starts clapping. Everyone else is going to look at that, and they're going to associate your points with the man covered in shit, and your points will be tainted by your association. So the man covered in shit in this dynamic would be the Christian church.
That's actually an interesting point there, that whole concept, that analogy, because I've had that moment where I'd say something to my story or something, and the wrong kind of person would come back to me and be like, "Yeah, you're dead right, boy," and I'm like, "Oh, bollocks, that wasn't what I was going for." Like,
I do think you can be misinterpreted. People that I know
that
kind of know you think of you as a very conservative person.
Yeah.
to be fair to him, you don't do yourself any favors.
No, I don't. No.
You do frame a lot of arguments in this, like, biblical fire and brimstone, let's destroy the gays kind of way. And when I first met you, and when you were first telling these things, I was like, Jesus Christ, he's fucking nuts. He's going on about how, like, I think you said something to the effect of AIDS was nature's way of getting rid of the gays. And I remember hearing that for the first time. I was like, oh my god.
Oh dear.
He's a legitimate, like, redneck stereotype of a person who's, you know, sticking their head out their window to peek around, making sure no homophobes, or no homophobes are going around.
No homosexuals are going around. Yeah. I don't mean to. You see, this is the other thing. I'm bad at humour. And I'm bad at interpreting sarcasm. I'm bad at delivering sarcasm. I feel sometimes like I'm a little bit autistic. That I just can't seem to gather when people are joking. And when I say something and I don't get a laugh back, I'm like, how do you not see it from the humorous point of view? And so I make statements that I think is going to be funny. It's just followed by dead silence. And I just have to go, well, sugar, that one went wrong. And I just have to retreat back into my shed.
Commit.
I'm like,
no, commit to it.
But what's
like,
the
you know
commitment?
what?
You've already dropped
we
the
should
joke.
get rid of the Jews. That's what you don't want. If you make an anti-Semitic joke and then everyone goes like, oh yeah. You look around and all of a sudden you realize everyone's a skinhead. You're like, oh shit, I'm on the wrong side of town.
But going back then to that man covered in shit argument. Yeah, so Paul stands by the Catholic Church despite what the Catholic Church has gotten up to. Is that what you were saying?
From what I saw of the 30 minutes, it seems to be that's the case. And the problem is that he was making some impassioned arguments for the validity of religion in an individual's life, from what they can extract from the texts and the ideologies that can be espoused from the text. You know, I don't think you have to read the Bible to take the lessons from the Bible. You know, biblical literalism is a famously shoddy area of philosophy. You know,
how do you mean now?
I mean, people that literally take things from the Bible, like, you know, Adam and Eve. People who will be biblically literal seem to be operating under the presumption that Adam literally took a rib from his own body and grew Eve.
God took a rib from Adam's body.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
And then that somehow grew Eve. Okay?
Yeah.
I think it's very much agreed amongst most people of religious persuasion that the Old Testament is mostly metaphorical and more sort of a runoff of the old Greek styles of mythology, whose stories were more moral tales without actually espousing any strict system of moralities. They were more these interesting little tales that you could extract these little lessons from. You know, they weren't meant to be taken literally. And I think the Old Testament is kind of an extension of that, where they're meant to be stories that are meant to get across these ideas and these ideologies, but you're not meant to literally go, there once was a garden and a woman ate it. If we ate, what was it, the apple of knowledge?
Is that what it's referred to? The fruit isn't specified. It's just the fruit of the tree of good and evil. Yeah, the apple again. See, this is the other problem. When you don't actually do your own reading on it, you get filtered with the sort of modernized, fictionalized pop culture representations.
Yeah, a lot of pictures. Well, pop culture. A lot of old Venetian paintings.
Anything like that.
A lot of them are apples.
Yeah.
Because you know, it's a universal fruit. People know what an apple looks like. They can associate. Boom, apple, fruit. Anyways, she ate the fruit, and then she gained knowledge.
She became aware of her own existence, so she became self-conscious effectively. Yeah. Because they were naked up until that point, and then
if the entire premise of the idea that God can't be held responsible for the evil of the world, right? Because he gave us free will and he gave us the capacity to choose to behave in the way that we do, and that's the only way that our salvation can have any sort of legitimacy, okay? That's an argument I like, because it makes sense. It is true that if he invalidated free will, then what would be the point of him constructing these moral systems? Because you would either follow them or you wouldn't follow them based on his own design. But why did he design us without sentience then? Because that invalidates that entire point.
Well, it doesn't, because you see, there's a paradox. I remember looking into this when you made this point with me before, and there's a paradox within theistic philosophy whereby free will and predestination actually run side by side, despite them being incompatible.
You're gonna have to expand on that a little bit.
Well,
What do you mean
like
they
the
went
fact
side
that
by
like
side?
either God decided everything that was going to happen, nothing you do matters because God decided if it was going to happen or not, or whether we actually have free choice as free active agents. But there's actually both of those run side by side. Now, the actual reasoning behind why you can actually conceptualize both of those side by side, I should have looked it up. I wasn't actually thinking we are going to get into this one. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to give it to you. But there is a strong argument for how they do run simultaneous to each other.
Well, this would be an argument that is it doesn't involve any sort of religious connotations, but it would be the argument from free will, and it would be particularly determinism, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would be what is referred to as a soft determinist,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also hard determinism, which is essentially you are born with certain predispositions that will dictate your actions, and that's that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas soft determinism is the idea that these predispositions influence your actions,
Mm-hmm.
right? They will pose certain if someone is predisposed in a certain way, you can make an accurate estimation of how they're going to react in a certain situation,
Mm-hmm.
but it can't be a guaranteed, and I don't even think you could establish a statistical correlation, a quantifiably valid statistical correlation.
Mm-hmm. Because of the presence of free will. That
Yes.
even at the last minute, that even if all the genetics and all the environment push you to do an action,
And-
at the very last minute,
yeah.
you can still choose something else.
To be honest, I think a lot of people who even claim they don't believe in free will actually do, but they fail to make the distinction between freedom of choice and free will.
Mm.
What a lot of people talk about when they say, like, oh, we have free will or we don't have free will, they're talking about freedom of choice. You have the freedom of choice to do whatever the fuck you want. Your will is what determines how disposed you are towards making those choices.
But when you're talking about philosophy, do they make that differentiation between will and
No, this is
choice?
the differentiation I've made.
Yeah. And
Particularly-
is that
I
not,
mean-
are you just not arguing over semantics there?
No, because I'm going to stipulate the difference between the two. Freedom of choice would be, I'm going to...
You can knock over that microphone right now.
Sure, I can knock over that microphone right now. I have that choice, and there's literally nothing stopping me from doing either one.
Yeah.
Well, no, not literally nothing. Because the other side of it would be free will, or your will, rather, which would be how much I want to knock over this microphone. I can't choose to not want or to want to knock over the microphone. I can choose to knock it over irregardless.
So you could have Tourette's though, and the impulse to knock it over would be overpowering, and you'll slash out and hit it, or ADHD. So, but this is what I'm trying to give an example that
Yeah.
sometimes the will override whether you have a choice or not.
Sure. I think that more branches into the discrepancies between, say, consciousness or ideas revolving around consciousness and ideas revolving around neurology, which I think is an entirely separate kettle of fish that we should probably not stray into if we want to talk about more theistic philosophy, because that's a mess. The problem of the mind is referred to as the hard problem in philosophy. That's its title, the hard problem, because it's that inconclusive. Philosophy in general is not a conclusive science. It's not science at all. And anyone who believes that they are deriving answers, definitive answers that can be imparted to any individual, like instantly, without them actually cogitating over it and finding it themselves, has a fundamental misunderstanding of what philosophy is. Philosophy is something that should be taken on yourself, right? I think this is going to be important because I think it does influence and it sort of paints the dynamic here. I would identify as a nihilist, right? And I know you have a lot of problems with nihilism, but however, specifically, I would identify with the existentialist side of nihilism, right? There's two main branches. They branch off independently of their own, but there'd be two main ones, right? Existentialism and cosmic nihilism, or cosmologicalism, but cosmologicalism is already its own thing, so it's typically referred to as cosmological nihilism.
Okay.
Cosmological nihilism is what a lot of people think nihilism is, which is the idea that nothing matters, you are an infinitesimal speck in the grander scale of the universe, and that's that.
Explain nihilism first of all.
Well, nihilism, the overarching branching for that would apply to both existentialism and cosmic nihilism is the idea that there is no meaning in life. Okay, the difference between the two would be that cosmological nihilism says that there is no meaning at all, and you cannot find meaning because it simply does not exist in the universe, right? And it doesn't exist in the universe because the universe is typically, it revolves around ideas that the universe is so big, it's so grand that your impact is negligible to the point of insignificance. I'll tackle this first before we go to existentialism. Ooh.
What happened there? What did you just say there?
Oh, my brain fart. What I meant to say was, I'll tackle this first before I go on to existentialism. What I said was, I'll tackle this first.
I heard sex in church or religion or something there somewhere. I was like, whoa.
Oh, Freudian slip. Cosmological nihilism is so devoid of any humanity that it is ridiculous for any human to legitimately hold it, and I genuinely doubt any individual is an actual cosmological nihilist. Okay, the only real cosmological nihilists are dead because they have unpassionately and immediately killed themselves. If you legitimately hold these views and you have no doubts, then, and that's the only way to be a cosmological nihilist. If you have doubts or if you have attachments to life that you're not willing to give up, you would be an existentialist. And then, there'd be different branches of existentialism that you could get into, that we will get into later. It's looking at the universe and trying to compress it down to an anthropomorphic scale. Or sorry, not anthropomorphic, an anthropomorphic scale. And yet, despite the fact that you've shrank it down to an anthropomorphic scale to place yourself within this narrative of the grandeur of the universe, you then somehow take that and go, well, I'm being divested of my humanity because of its grandeur, despite making the narrative anthropomorphic to suit this idea that you're fitting into it at all, or that has any significance. If you are someone who's a cosmological nihilist or identifies with cosmological nihilism, if you're looking at it and you're going, well, the universe is so big and I'm so tiny, so that must mean nothing. Technically that's true, but who cares? You're not living in the universe. You're living in this world. You're living in your own tiny world. The amount of the world that you will experience, that's tiny. But that is also the extent of your world. Your perception and your experiences with reality are the only way you have as an individual to interact with reality. That is the only framework you have for reality. So ultimately, that is reality. It's as good as reality. It would be... I think I've posited this idea before, where I came up with this idea for a sort of cause and effect relationship as it would apply to the more subjective elements of humanity, and it would be intention, cause, effect, perception. Whereas a cause and effect relationship, that is indisputable and it's going to happen irregardless of your intention and your perception. Let's take gravity for example, okay? The grammar's a bit weird when you talk about cause and effect, because by cause it's like the cause is I toss the ball in the air. Technically that's not a cause, but you get the idea. Yeah. I toss a ball in the air, okay? My intention when tossing the ball in the air could have been I'm going to have the ball float, or I'm going to have it get into a fixed position in the sky. Yeah. It doesn't matter what your intention is, because the effect will be the ball's coming back down. Yeah. And then your perception could be somehow inferred to be the ball is there. It doesn't change the fact that the ball isn't there. Yeah. Whereas something like morality in general, I would say morality is subjective, and a lot of people take that to be a tacit acceptance, if not what's the fucking term? I was trying to find it earlier. Not when I'm kind of in favor of something. Tacit approval, yeah, whatever. We'll use approval. Okay. That I'm giving tacit approval to the idea that morality is subjective, so you can be as immoral or as conventionally immoral as you want. Yeah. That's nonsense. All I'm doing is acknowledging that it only exists within the minds of humans. It's not an indisputable law. It's not an unchangeable law like gravity. Because let's say you have a murder, right? It's
not a law, but pause in there. It's not a law, but we can recognize it.
My mouth's dry.
We can recognize it.
I'm talking too much.
To such a significance that you can't disregard it either. It's like there's a page I follow on Instagram.
I never said I was disregarding it.
No, but the fact is though is that like you can't. It doesn't devalue it just because it's not a law.
I'm not trying to devalue it.
It's so, I know, but it sounds like as if you were, as if you're dismissing
If anything,
it.
my previous statements about being that you are the sole arbiter of meaning and validity in your reality, that is the only way in which morality can be viewed as valuable. Because if you view it in the sense of there is this strict moral code that exists as a law, then that means that the moral choices you make don't really have any value. You're either making the right one or you're making the wrong one, and that's it. You have this bilineal reaction, not reaction. What's the? Doesn't matter. You have this yes or no scenario that sort of takes away the value from it, because then ultimately you're either intentionally making wrong choices, and in which case, why, if there is this strict law, or you're either making the right choices, and can you really make any value from that? Because ultimately all you're doing is picking the right one. You're not finding the right one, or you're not coming to your own conclusions about what's right. You're picking the right one, because there only is one right one. But then the idea that it's subjective is that, let's take this perception or intention, cause, effect, perception, reaction. The cause would be someone gets murdered, right? The effect would be someone's dead. You look at that, and the second you start applying moral judgments to it, it can alter the narrative and the actual effect to an extent. Whereby, let's say the intention was he murdered this guy because he raped his daughter, right? The effect is still the person's dead, but now the perception is, well, I can see that, there's some validity to that, and in a sense you're not denying his moral culpability, but you're lessening it.
And what's actually funny is that
it's valid in your mind.
And
it'd be valid in my mind.
That validation is spurned though by this unclarified moral lineage that does run through all humanity, which would be the argument for an objective morality. Because if you go to any country, anywhere in the world nearly, and you hear that some rapist was murdered by the girl's family, it's one of those sort of events that surpasses language, and you can go, yeah, alright, I understand that.
Well, how about the countries that have a sort of acceptance of rape?
I don't know if any country has an acceptance of rape as much as it does, like, because even in as much as it does has a country that doesn't punish it, or a community that doesn't punish it to the same extent. There
is this Arabian community, and I know I'm painting a grand brush, because I know a lot of people jump on that bandwagon of, Arabs are fucking monsters and whatever else. And I wish I had the actual name of the place, but I'm afraid I don't. It's just this Arabian place. And they have this community whereby if they find out someone in the area is gay, they will it's like your civil duty to rape that person. Be them. And the odd thing is that it's be it a man or a woman. If it's a woman, they seem to be under the impression that if this group of men go and rape her, then what? Turn her back to heterosexuality? Because your raping was so good that she's like, oh, I love it now and I'm back, forget women. And then for men, it's the opposite narrative, whereby he's going to fucking hate gay sex so much that he's going to become heterosexual again. It's nonsense. But it's not like a moral thing. It's viewed as, this is our civil duty. Their
moral and civic duty are pretty closely aligned though.
Yeah, no, that was my bad. To sort of rephrase it, the morality in it comes from the unquestioned acceptance of the idea that homosexuality is bad, right? Is morally incomprehensible or morally irreprehensible. Yeah. And then the civil duty comes from, well, of course we have to stop that. It's the idea that a lot of these, pray away the gay things in like usually church organized, church organized. A lot of them aren't doing it out of this idea that gay is evil and we got to get rid of them. That was that's a pre-applied. That's a ingrained bias that they already have. They're not even questioning that. Yeah, they're looking at it as if they're doing a civil duty, which is why it makes these kind of things really complicated to argue for, because the people that are doing this, despite the fact that they're clearly wrong and they're doing something that could be viewed as morally irreprehensible, they're not doing it with this idea that they're doing something evil, and that's where the idea for moral subjectivity kind of ultimately loses a lot of fans, a lot of followers.
Moral subjectivity or moral objectivity?
Moral subjectivity loses a lot of fans because the second you introduce this idea of moral subjectivity, it introduces so much nuance into legal proceedings, for example, that there's already so many complications that can go into a legal proceeding. To apply this idea of moral subjectivity would fundamentally alter the basis upon which we build laws as it is.
I just had a thought there. Is it possible to have an objectivity that only applies to set communities and cultures? You see, this is one of the problems with objectivity, is that the assumption is that it's subject, individual, object has to be the world, has to apply generally, or it's not objective. But it seems like there are two extreme categories. That it's black or it's white, and there's no grey.
What I would say is, because on an all Earth scale, right, morality is subjective, okay, and see, ultimately the problem with the argument for morality is subjective is that even if you think it's objective, it doesn't matter, because people are acting on their own moralities that may be different to your objective morality, and they're ultimately reaping the same benefits or the same rewards or having the same effects and lives as you would. So ultimately, whether it's not it's subjective is only going to come into play after they die. And let's say it is objective, well, then you're fucked. Then you're fucked. But before that, that's unfalsifiable, right? That's not something we can prove. It's not something we can disprove. Same with God, and same with heaven, and same with a lot of the things that are involved in religion.
It's same with a lot of philosophical topics in general. That's
Absolutely.
where philosophy came from, was the whole...
And this is where I would get into agreement of your idea that you can have objectivity in certain groups. Because if it is subjective, then that means its validity is centered entirely upon your acceptance of it. Right? And in a sense, because as I said earlier, if you remember, that you are the sole arbiter of meaning and even validity in your reality. By accepting this moral state or this moral ideology, it becomes objective, because it has as much impact on your life as if it was objective.
This is so weird. I literally took down this thought last night going to sleep.
Go for it.
Let me just see if it's actually written coherently. Where does this go? Okay. Yeah, so the concept of non-factual truths. So there are lots of non-factual truths that people believe. They can't show you it mathematically. They can't show you mathematically why it's true, but it strikes a chord so deep within them that they just know it's true. And other people will accept other people's subjective realities while still believing their own. So people would acknowledge that this fallacy in somebody's belief, would recognize it as okay, while still simultaneously acknowledging their own subjective beliefs.
Absolutely.
Most of these cases go by without a hitch until you bring God into it. Once you say God spoke to me, or when I was praying God proved this to me, people just go, nah, he's wishy-washy, he's off his rocker. Even those who do this will still recognize your reality is what you make it. So yeah, even those who shut down people who come out with the whole, well, God was speaking to me the other day, they will still recognize that your reality is what you make it. They'll still acknowledge that exists. And if you make it so, then it becomes their reality. Like if you believe in your reality, then it's no longer you having this grand idea about what reality should be. This has become your reality.
It's an interesting term. Once you believe in your reality.
Yeah. You know what I mean.
And it is that. It's because for this idea, because as I said, like, you know, this cause effect thing, because it does have no definitive cause, or it has no definitive cause and effect. Once you apply varying perceptions and varying intentions, it alters that completely.
It's a chameleon.
So
it just changes colour as it moves through.
So these are things that, once they're accepted by you, they become as good as objective.
Which is what I'm saying with the non-factual truths. And so even non-spiritual people will defend the process of believing in something that you can't actually prove. But once it becomes religious, people shut it off.
No, I would support religion. I support religion 100%. Particularly seeing as how, as Durkheim has shown, Emil Durkheim being the author of 1892 Le Suicide. No,
Are you referencing? Are you doing in-speech referencing?
Yeah. Well, I think that's important for a discussion. Because what if people want to look up and find the thing? I think you should link some of these things in the actual...
Okay, I definitely agree with you there. It's a big blind spot in my thing is that there's no referencing.
I think when you go through the editing, you should like just pick out little things.
It's too much effort, man.
Yeah.
I need someone else to do that. Genuinely.
If you had another person here, like on the computer, they could just like take down like,
yes,
suicide was mentioned. I'll write that down. We'll make a reference.
That's something that will only come down the line, man. I can't reference.
But to be honest, because this is different because it's not an article. It's not something that you'll have to look for. If you look up Emile Durkheim, Le Suicide, you will find it.
Yeah.
It's his most famous work. And as you know, he picked out 5 different things that were relating to the contemporary prevalence. Think about that. In 1892, they were noting a prevalence of suicide. Those rates have gone up. 1892, that can't be right. Durkheim was so fucking ahead of his time. 1912, no. Fuck, God, yeah, I think it was 1892. Anyways.
Here, I'll check.
Yeah, do.
So the original publication of Le Suicide.
Le Suicide. It could be even 1862.
Le Suicide.
Le Suicide. And if maybe put in Durkheim.
I did, yeah.
Emile Durkheim.
1897. Suicide: A Study in Sociology. 1897.
Wow. It's a fucking. It's eminently readable today. Even did you ever read it?
No, I've read passages of it for sociology back in first.
It's short enough. You could breeze through it in like a week. But anyways, he posited 5 different areas that he wanted to look into for why people were committing more suicide, and one of them was religion. And he found that once communities in general lost their tenacity and their piousness or the tenacity of religion and their piousness, they're one and the same. Yeah. I'm being needlessly articulate. That's the
dickheading coming out.
Well, no, that's the effect of having a camera on me, because I want to be articulate.
You're inebriated.
Seem more intelligent.
You're inebriated with the exuberance of your own verbosity, my compadre.
Yeah, if you like.
Do you know what that means?
Twat. Please.
You're drunk on your own.
Don't condescend to me. Don't condescend to me.
Yeah, so Durkheim, Le Suicide.
Yeah, and one of the areas that he picked up was religion, and he found that once people didn't have religion in their life, it took away the sense of community that people had, because they could bond together in this communal objectivity, right? He didn't phrase it as this, but I'm reworking it to fit into the argument. No, I'm not even paraphrasing. I'm just reworking it to fit into this argument that we're having.
Okay.
He would have phrased it in a way that was essentially... He also looked at it as like he wanted nationality and patriotism to replace religion. And he said that places like Russia kind of got this a little bit with stuff like the motherland, you know. But ultimately this was fleeting, and it only really sprang up in times of war. Once peace times came along,
it also encourages racism.
People stopped giving a shit. Yeah, absolutely. Xenophobia, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But anyways, religion, it bonded people together.
Yeah.
With this sense of communal objectivity, because they could all agree on something.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas the living in a state where you constantly have to acknowledge the subjectivity of your own ideas and everyone else's ideas, you're living in a state of constant flux. Ducran. What's his goddamn name? Ducran. I think it's Ducran. Right.
John.
I'm going to get my own phone.
Yeah, work. Mind your water and stuff.
Once you introduce this idea of moral subjectivity into interpersonal relations, it becomes very complicated, and to constantly check yourself and constantly doubt your own ideas, because you...
Well, that's what we're going through at the minute.
Yeah, exactly. To go from this idea of that, I'm so self-aware of how subjective it is, and I can't ever genuinely commit myself to this idea, even though I think that is a legitimate stance to take. Getting to the point where you'd be like, okay, my moral code is as objective as a moral code can be, precisely because of its subjectivity. But to actually get to that point is very difficult. And there was this one philosopher, Derrida, seamless, cut out the point where I didn't know. Derrida,
you just ruined it because you talked about cutting at the point that you didn't know.
I think it's important because I don't want to misrepresent myself. Like, I make mistakes. Derrida, Jacques Derrida, was his? I think Jacques was his first name. He came up with this idea of deconstructionism, which is I'm going to give a very bare bones explanation of it because he wrote like fucking tomes and tomes. He wrote too much. But he was a French philosopher, so they're sexy. French in France, philosophers are the like James Deans, Camus, Albert Camus.
Yeah.
He was like James Dean or a Marlon Brando going around France. He had fangirls fawning over him for his existentialist. God damn it! I was talking about existentialism. Oh God. Oh, okay. We'll come back to that. We will come back to that. Derrida had this idea. Derrida had this idea of deconstructionism, which was that you should constantly. He was in favor of this state of confusion. What he referred to as aporia. It's an old Greek word that he kind of reappropriated. Aporia, which is a state of confusion, and he promoted this. He advocated for it. Advocated. That was the word I was looking for earlier. He advocated for people being in this state of aporia because of his idea of deconstructionism.
Aporia is just where
the Greek word for a state of confusion.
Okay.
More or less.
Yeah.
It's not exactly, but yeah.
Yeah.
For deconstructionism, the idea with deconstructionism is that you should constantly reevaluate what you value, and also understand that there is value to be had in the opposite of what you believe in. Mm-hmm. So let's say, for example, let's take this dynamic. I am an atheist. However, I very much acknowledge the value in religion and theism. And you as well should perhaps, if Derrida would have his way, should acknowledge the value in atheism. Mm-hmm. And you should do this on all levels of everything, for even simple things like books and TV. Yeah. There's a lot of pretension, particularly
taste in music, taste in clothes, everything. Yeah. Across the board. It's one way of becoming more conscious of how you conduct yourself with other people and the respect you have for others.
Yeah. So, and it's not just it tends to be particularly rampant around academia because there's a massive amount of pretension in those.
There is, academia is a problem with that.
Halls.
Yeah, people read a few famous people, a few old people, and they think now all of a sudden that they've been given the knowledge of God, and woe to anyone who condemns them, heaven forbid, contradicts them on an argument.
As well, the overvaluing of literature as opposed to video games even. Yeah. Video games have had an awful run of being recognised as a legitimate art. Which is ridiculous. Think about this is a tangential argument, but it's one that a lot of people get into. Video games are more art in a sense, in a purely logistical sense, than any other art. Okay? They have music, they have art, the artwork, the art assets. Yeah. They have acting, they have scripts, and they package all of this in an interactive way. And yet people are like, it's not art.
And not just an interactive way, but a way that pulls on your heartstrings.
It can do that even more effectively because it bridges that gap between audience and character. Yeah. And it promotes this empathy, this empathic connection that is necessary to make with a character or a group of characters for their adventures to have any sort of emotional resonance.
And even have you played Far Cry 3?
I played a bit of it.
You didn't finish it, so
I'm aware of the ending.
Yeah. Man.
Like I did it.
Oh.
As I was telling you there earlier, The Walking Dead, the Telltale's Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Season 1 particularly, but the other seasons are pretty good too. The end of that.
Video game now, not just game, yes. For clarification.
The Telltale. That could be another link. Telltale video game series of The Walking Dead. It's phenomenal, and it's one of these instances where it's better than the source material, like Lovecraft. You know Lovecraft?
I'm familiar with
Cthulhu, Shadow over Innsmouth, stuff like that. Lovecraft was a terrible, terrible author. However, what people have been able to do with his ideas have created one of my favorite genres of horror, Lovecraftian horror. But anyways, I'm getting off the point.
you're getting off the point of the point of the point of the point.
Okay, let's work
Reel
way
it back.
Deconstructionism.
Yeah.
So deconstructionism, he would advocate for this, and while he said that yes, if you do this, you will be in an almost constant state of aporia.
Mm-hmm.
However, he said that's good. That's a sign of maturity in Derrida's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a sign that you're not blindly following any one idea. You're constantly reevaluating what you believe, and you're constantly adjusting it to accommodate your to accommodate what you've seen, to accommodate what you've experienced. You know, and I think that's one of the reasons a lot of people don't, particularly nowadays, and in the Western world, anyways. Particularly, a lot of people don't really get into religion. You know, atheism is kind of the running, or agnosticism is, but agnosticism, I don't think anyone's really agnostic.
I think it's laziness more so.
It's laziness.
I think people don't want to
maybe
commit
because
to
they-
anything, and so the easy answer is atheist if anyone asks, or I was born a Christian, but
Yeah.
I'm not really, and you know,
I think that the reason that a lot of people pick agnosticism,
apathy is
it's apathetic.
Yeah.
Yes, it's apathetic one, and I also think it may be laziness. I think is too harsh a way to phrase it.
I think laziness is fair.
I think maybe it's just. I think apathy is more accurate.
I think people look at it, they realise the work that would be required to become semi-informed on the different areas of religion, and they just go, I couldn't be.
Yeah, but for most people,
arsed."
it has no impact on their life. So honestly, why would they?
Because it's kicking the can. It's no impact now until you've got cancer. You know, you ask a terminally
Sure,
ill
yeah,
person,
but I think
they're going to give you a very different response.
That's
to
a
what
very
they think of it.
manipulative way to kind of look at it, because the reason a lot
But
of
it's a
cancer
real-
patients and a lot of, say, prisoners turn to religion is precisely because it's that comforting force.
Yeah.
But I don't think that should be looked at it as like a proof of its validity.
No, but it was proof of why
Proof of how comforting it is.
People who aren't under pressure to make the decision will inadvertently just become apathetic because they're too lazy to actually go and seek answers. But someone who's facing death in a very real capacity, they'll face the answers in a little bit
But
more.
it's not that they're no. But what I'm saying is that they're not looking for answers. What they're looking for is comfort.
Comfort
Again.
because of the questions that come, and so you're seeking
not
comfort
because
in
of
the
questions
answers.
that come, because of the inevitabilities that present themselves.
No, I think they've.
When people get terminally ill, when people go to prison, they are inevitably confronted with the idea of their mortality.
Yeah,
And what is more comforting?
and that brings questions.
It brings questions.
You don't
it
just
brings
look for
questions.
comfort. Like your comfort comes in the answers, because what the whole issue of your own, what was the word you said? Vulnerability, morality,
Yeah.
mortality. Sorry.
Oh,
Is that it makes you ask questions about who am I, why am I here, what's the point of all this,
Sure.
and the comfort comes from finding answers that bring comfort. You can't just go, religion tells me this, alright, that's grand. There's no comfort there because there's no genuine comfort because you don't believe what you're reading.
Sure, but
whereas if you actually ask the questions, you find the answers, then you find the comfort. That's work. There's work on in there to find that
but
comfort.
what I'm saying is that let's say we still sort of followed the more fire and brimstone God, right? And that is the narrative that was presented to us.
Yeah.
I guarantee you there wouldn't be as much terminal patients and as much people in prison coming to religion if, rather than the comforting, warm embrace of Jesus Christ, they had the backhand of a furious and vengeful God.
That's a good point.
But ultimately, I think it's worth stating that this argument should be underlined by the fact that we're not invalidating seeking comfort. If you can seek comfort, if you can find comfort,
Again,
fucking hell,
yeah, non-factual
fair play
truths.
to you. Yeah.
Take it, like,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah, if it works, it works.
Why would you question it? See,
Yeah.
I think that would be a sort of culmination of my point. They're not questioning it because once you find that answer that's comforting, why would you question it? It's not. They're not asking questions for the sake of, I'm so curious about these answers. They're asking questions because they've been faced with something uncomfortable, and once they find an answer that is comforting, the questions, they don't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas, to bring it back, what Derrida would be advocating for with deconstructionism is always asking those questions, and it's a very hard thing to actually do, and it's something that I don't do. And honestly,
Well, but by our nature, we don't do it. Humans respond and react in the
Yeah.
moment a lot of the time. Like deconstructionism in its purest form would only work if you can take everything slowly. Anything that happens, okay, there's two sides to this coin, let's look at both sides and then move forward.
No, because there wasn't trying to say that you shouldn't value certain things over other things, but that you should just on occasion question your value. You know, he acknowledged that you should value love over hate or wit over dullness. Okay, he viewed those and he said, like, yeah, you should absolutely value those things over the other things, but just question it every now and then. Be like, well, maybe there's something good to be found in dullness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hard work perhaps would be associated with dullness. Think of the
you could tie that back with yin and yang. Sometimes you need a little bit of everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just about to say, right, where do we fall off? You brought up deconstructionism because we had moral culpability.
I'll jump back to existentialism.
We had nihilism is the very beginning of this.
Cosmologicalism, yeah.
Will we just jump back in there?
Absolutely. So, to jump all the way back, I would be an existentialist.
Yes.
Right? Which the discrepancy, the difference between that and cosmologicalism would be that existentialism would posit the idea that there is no meaning, but there is no inherent meaning, which comes with the assumption that you can create meaning, right? And I particularly espouse the ideas of what would be referred to as optimistic nihilism, which is a branching of existentialism, and it's this idea that if nothing has any inherent meaning, then again, to wrap it up in this argument that we have been having, you can place value in things and it will be as inherently valuable as anything else, because ultimately you are the only person that has authority on what is valuable if there is no inherent meaning, right? And so because of that, you can fucking find meaning in whatever.
Yeah.
It's hard, it's very hard, but you can do it, and it can be in anything.
I'm surprised you're still a nihilist though, because you hadn't mentioned
Existentialist.
Existentialist.
Optimistic nihilist, if you want to be more specific.
Because I thought you'd moved away from it, because you hadn't mentioned it in a while, and you see, this is the problem, is that when you hit a crisis point, what you have individually ascribed meaning to becomes very unstable, and you question yourself,
sure,
well, where's the real value in that? And you've got no religious text to turn back to that reinforces why this is valuable or why this is important. And the fact is, and this is what a lot of the people who are against nihilism would make the argument, that it doesn't give you any lasting long-term encouragement to get through life, and that life is far more difficult than what nihilism can ever prepare you for.
Well, no, I disagree with that idea.
Well, that would be the argument, that when tough things happen in life, nihilism won't carry you through. Nihilism isn't there to encourage you and to say, look, it's okay, we're going to get through this. Nihilism just goes, well, you're born in this world, you're going to have to deal with this.
See, again, that's an argument that comes from people that don't know what nihilism is.
No, but you see, this is the thing, is that you don't put nihilism into context.
That's an argument from people who read in a bathroom stall and misquoted Nietzsche and went like, oh, nihilism. You know, they read Nietzsche saying, oh yeah, here's something that should be said.
But you don't take the nihilism argument into context.
Nihilism argument from who?
The whole nihilism argument itself. When I give you this fact of the fact that, like, people have beliefs because they need answers, they need structure. Nihilism doesn't hold you through troubling times.
Why not?
Because it relies on your own individual motivation to believe in it.
Yeah.
But that's putting way too much faith in your own mental health. We know that mental health doesn't last that long.
Yeah, but again, this if you're coming at this idea that you're placing meaning in your own life, then you've progressed from this starting point of it's meaningless, right? Mm-hmm. And so you've built up your system of meaning. You've not just pointed at things
all on your own imagination.
That's meaningful now, you know?
All on your own imagination.
Yeah, but also stuff that you just value. Stuff that you've come to value over your own, you know, atavistic and phenomenological experiences, you know?
Mm. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Qualia, that's the term I was looking for. Your qualia. I should stipulate, yeah, because not everyone's done criminology and philosophy. I know that when I talk to people who don't do criminology and philosophy, I'll use terms naturally that are like very much explicitly part of the social science that I'm discussing, and then it's kind of, you know, it gets people lost in the discussion
It does, but it's no harm, because one of the things I remember reading about
I'll explain what quality
don't talk down to people.
I'll explain what quality is first.
Yeah, great.
It's the phenomenological experience of something, and the phenomenological would be the actual.
You can just keep talking to me.
Yeah, it's the actual quality of the experience. So let's say pain. The idea, when think of pain, you have an idea of what pain is, and you can kind of sense it.
Yeah.
That would be the qualia.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, anyways, talking down to people, and I think there's a big problem with that in philosophy, particularly, because a lot of philosophy.
Rick and Morty fans.
Yeah,
There you
yeah.
go,
But a lot of philosophy is written in this way that it seems as if it's being written just for philosophers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And ultimately, that makes it an invaluable. No, invaluable, because that's one of those. Like inflammable is actually flammable.
Yeah.
It makes it a invalid, I would say.
Yeah.
Pointless. It makes it a pointless philosophy.
I wouldn't say pointless, but
I would. If you can't make your and I know that I'm going to sound like a hypocrite because I don't, but that's because this is just needlessly articulate would be how I describe myself.
Yeah.
One of the big things. It's just something that I've picked up over time. I read a lot when I was younger, and I just
it is a skill, though, and it's a very impressive skill.
Skill is just something I naturally picked up. It's not something that I sought out.
Doesn't matter. People can have skills that they didn't seek out.
What the fuck was I saying?
Qualia.
Oh yes, no. Before that, yeah. Being needlessly articulate is sort of a characteristic of a lot of philosophical works, a lot of social sciences in general. But all of these arguments that I make, I could, if pressing them, and if someone came up and they were like, I can't understand it, I could make these arguments in layman's terms. And if I found I couldn't, then I would stop making them. Because if the only way, because a lot of these philosophical terms and these philosophical arguments are centered around these what are meant to be universal truths, these big ideas and these big thoughts and these big concepts.
But if you can't explain those big concepts,
exactly, then they're not big; they're tiny.
Yeah,
they only apply to the subsect of people that have read philosophy and that have that actually dedicate themselves to philosophy. And if that's the only people it applies to, well, then you haven't solved shit. You haven't come to any grand conclusion. You're just getting into this circle jerk of people that are all wanking each other off, going like, "Oh, we're so smart! Oh, we figured out the answers to life questions." Like. It's a pointless discussion that just it's an intellectual toilet is what it is. A lot of philosophy.
It is a good mark of your character, to be fair, is that when you use words and I was like, man, what are you talking about? You have that. Okay, well, and then you give the answer. I've never had you go,
fuck yeah.
I don't know how to explain that. Like,
you ever read a book?
You illiterate book. Yeah. So
yeah, big ideas should be, yeah.
We made the point.
Here's a nice, but I'm gonna package it in a nice little bow. All right. Big ideas that only apply to big egos only apply to small people.
Nice. Give us it again. Big, big ideas only.
Big ideas
relating to big egos.
Yeah, big ideas that can only be appreciated. There we go. Big ideas that can only be appreciated by big egos only apply to small people.
Nice. There we go.
Nice one. Fuck you, academia. I'm a cool academic. I'm one of those guys that when they throw their hats in the air, I toss it at the lecture. Take his head off.
I have the same sort of thing with like YouTubers or Instagram even. I'm an Instagram, but I'm not one of those kind of Instagrammers. I'm a cool Instagram. I'm different. I'm different because of my subjective reality.
I'm using the platform and I'm basically like everyone
doing
else.
Everything that they do, but I'm doing it differently.
And then you'll get into this weird cycle of like, okay, but being self-aware, does being self-aware make it worse or better? And does by acknowledging my self-awareness, does that somehow, does that invalidate it? Does it make it better? But then if I'm being self-aware about the self-awareness of how self-aware I am, oh, well then how is that going to change the narrative? Exactly, yeah. So ultimately you do just have to at a certain point accept that not that you're part of the problem so much, but that you're not as
individual as you like to think.
Yeah, you're not.
You're not as special.
Exactly.
You're not special.
You're not as.
Nihilism. You're not as unique.
That can be a comforting idea, though.
Yeah, if you want to slit your wrists and cry in a room on your own.
No, this idea. There's this manga that I really like, Mob Psycho 100, and the idea of Mob Psycho 100 is about this. It's about this guy who has psychic powers, right? He's an esper, which is someone with psychic powers, and the idea and the kind of narrative conflict throughout the manga is that he doesn't want to use his powers for like to help him succeed. He actually, a big part of it is that he wants to get ripped. He wants to work out and he wants to build muscles. And the people that are around him that see him like this, they're like, why don't you just use his power? Why don't you just use your power? That's what you were given. And he's coming out from this idea of that I'm not better than anyone else just because I was born with this power, you know. And there's these scenes where he'll start to give these speeches where it's like, particularly when he's going up against other people with these other espers, and they're like, "Oh, I'm fucking king of the world, and with these power, I'll be able to take over the world, and I'll be, king of everyone." And then he'll come along and be like, "Well, can you plant a seed? Can you plumb a toilet? Like listing all these little things." And then they'll go like, "I don't need to do that. I'll get other people to do that." Well, then he'd be like, "Well, yeah, that's exactly the point. There's no such thing as one individual that's somehow on a the top of a hierarchy. There's elements of a hierarchy, but they typically exist within smaller substructures, because let me phrase it in a different way. People like to get into this idea of being alphas, right? People like to think, oh, I'm an alpha. Let's say I took an alpha who was an alpha in the way that a lot of people tend to think of it, like as a Chad. Like, oh, he's big, he's tough, he's whatever. If I took that alpha and I brought him with me to a D&D game, which is Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, people don't know. Dungeons and Dragons, a tabletop role-playing game. It's the game that you'll typically see in a lot of movies where nerds play it, and it's them
moving like my Starstrucker.
And they always have, for some reason, all of their glasses have a little tape. It seemingly insinuated they've been bashed by some fucking bros at some point. These fucking nerds getting bashed. But it's the game where you see, but they roll dice and it's 20-sided dice. If I were to take that alpha and I was to bring him to a D&D game, he would be a fucking beta in that scenario.
What do you mean, boy? He'd knock all of them out with one punch.
That's what I'm saying. He would not excel in that field. And if you put him in any other situation, if you put him in a field...
Is this because I couldn't do your computer game? Is this what this is?
No, you didn't.
You having to dig at me, I see in my own house.
You didn't, Duncan.
Oh, I did, yeah. I limped over the finish line.
You got there.
I did get there, I did.
And again, as I said, that was a lot more heavy on
than
what a first D&D game. And it wasn't D&D also, it was Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
But I use D&D because it's the term a lot of people associate with tabletop role-playing games. So, it's easier. It's that, it's one of those little conceptual shorthands that people build up.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's not talk about Call of Cthulhu because I'll get into that, and that'll be a whole different thing. I imagine most people listening to this probably don't give a shit about that. We should. It's good fun. Find a friend who's into it. Maybe start up a game. It's good fun.
Dungeons and Dragons, D&D.
Oh, before that, we're past that.
With that you moved into D&D. If you took an alpha, put him in D&D.
Oh yeah. My point being that
there's powers that
there is no universal hierarchy,
yeah.
right? Because every individual, to some capacity, relies on people, and they often rely on people that they look down on.
Yeah. There's a lot of like fables and stuff are based on those premises.
Yeah.
The people you overlook are the ones that actually turn around to help you. Like that thing.
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast.
The old
exactly.
woman comes to the door and he's like, "Get out of here, you old bitch, you old hag," and then he's a beast. Wouldn't you be fucking disappointed if you were the princess in Beauty and the Beast? You'd fallen in love with this big.
I've never watched
fucking
it.
Beast of a... Okay. Forget it. No fun.
Shrek. In reverse.
Yeah, sure. Well, no, because that one actually did apply that idea to it. Where, like, when he turned back into a human, Fiona was like...
I prefer the old you.
Yeah, where's the old guy?
That's the principle, right? You get into a relationship with a woman, she changes you for 20 years and then goes, oh, you're just not the same as when we started.
Yeah, but neither would she be. After 20 years.
Oh, yes. I know. See what I mean? I can't do jokes, Oisin. I can't do jokes. That one went...
No,
you were like, yeah, Tim, because fact.
No, I acknowledge it as a joke.
Okay.
It was just the
Deliverance.
quality of the joke.
Yeah,
that
deliverance.
I was giving you the opportunity to just move past it.
Because
You
it was
see?
that bad.
Yeah, exactly. It was a terrible joke, Tim. You're a terrible, terrible joke teller. I was trying to help you out there. But no, legitimately, it's also because I am quite a stoic person, naturally, and I found that just to aid in like social situations, I have to sometimes artificially laugh, just so I can.
That's the autism coming through, brother. Asperger's.
Asperger's.
Asperger's, yeah.
Is that how you actually pronounce it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Asperger's syndrome.
It's not Asperger's.
Did you say Asperger's?
Yeah.
That's the meme, man. He got that Asperger's.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's
I thought it was
Asperger's.
actually Asperger's this whole time.
No.
Oh
Asperger's. Yeah.
Okay.
That's so funny. There's only one other person I know who says Asperger's, and
yeah, I've heard that, and like every single time in some form of media, it's someone with
Asperger's.
Asperger's.
Yeah,
They pronounce it as Asperger's.
Yeah. Asperger's syndrome.
Okay. Weird. But anyways, yeah. So I'm quite stoic. So I'll have to sort of.
You mean you're quite Asperger's?
Yeah, I'm quite Asperger.
Yeah.
I'll have to sort of manufacture a laugh, just to because it's not like I'll hear something and I'll be like, yeah, that's funny.
But it won't elicit a laugh out of you, so you have to force one there.
No, yeah. But even when I find things really like genuinely quite funny, there'll be times where I'll just be like, for whatever reason, nothing will kind of. There'll be no laugh. There'll be no jiggle. There'll be no giggle.
Yeah.
So I'll just have to give a what's a classic? Just a short and sharp exhalation of air through your nose. So yeah, that's a classic one. That will just ease the social tension of someone who's made a joke and that are just looking around the room being like, oh, someone laugh please so we can move on.
30 seconds, someone just goes up.
You give him a little
and he moves loud.
Letting you know you're just blowing your nose.
So
this is your fault. You're meant to. You explicitly told me that you want this to be as free form as possible, so that I shouldn't control myself at all. I did this with the understanding that you would exercise
I don't keep track of anything.
But that you would exercise some sort of authority over this.
I will exercise authority, and here I am stamping out the authority.
Go ahead.
Back to nihilism.
Yes.
We had gone through. The last point I remember on the nihilism topic was nihilism getting you through the difficult times, getting you through, providing you something to lean on and support. Now, how we went from that into Dungeons and Dragons and Alphas and Asperger's, I couldn't track it.
Yeah, it kind of did. I don't like this idea of talking about hard times.
But that's why people have beliefs. That was one of the points I think I made.
But I mean,
that's the only reason people have beliefs is for the tough times. No one needs a god when things are going well. Man, the whole concept of it is because things don't go well and because life isn't going to end well.
End well.
Yeah.
Well, death, sure.
Yeah, but there's a lot of bad deaths.
You can come to terms with it. But from an individual, you do believe in an afterlife, right?
Yeah.
What is your conception of an afterlife? Do you maintain your sentience, your self-awareness? You do.
Yeah.
Do you maintain your not physical form, but a corporeal, facsimile of your form?
Well, the Bible will talk about when you died, the spirit goes up initially, and then on the day of judgment, when the earth is destroyed, there's the. I'll just wait till you come back.
No, just go on. I'm not going to be talking. You're telling me you're.
Yeah, I suppose. The day that the judgment comes, we'll be reunited with our bodies with a new body. Yeah, but I assume it would be the body that you'd recognize now because you're expected to recognize people in heaven. So.
Now, would the idea be that you would be living out a human life of sorts? Just an exceptionally good one?
A new heaven and a new earth.
Like, would it be
like,
just... Because the way that a lot of people tend to think about heaven is that it's an extension of Earth. It's an extension of their ideas about Earth, and then they just exaggerate certain elements of it.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad conceptualization of it.
you're living with all your loved ones, all the things that you love to do.
Well,
you get to do for the
whoever
rest
gets
of your
into
life.
heaven.
Sure. If you have deep affection for someone that is a sinner, does that perhaps taint your
No.
moral?
Not at all.
No.
No,
So,
no, not at all. No.
Okay.
No.
What if you give not you're not necessarily approving of what they do, but you're not exercising your responsibility to sort of spread. Do you view that as a responsibility to spread your?
You see, this is how you get things like Pray Away the Gay. You get these people who just think evangelism is about smashing Bibles off people's heads every 24 hours of the day. So no, I think that's fundamentally the incorrect way to do it. So long as people around you are aware of what you believe, that's about as much responsibility as you can take. And if the opportunity arises for you to be able to posit the alternative,
Question,
to give the alternative option on a situation that may be in line with whatever you do believe, that's about as far as I can see responsibility going. Now, there's people who feel called to evangelize and feel called to do missionary work and to become a priest or a minister or whatever, and absolutely power to them. Like, it's a tough job. And
yeah, hey, we wouldn't have opioid dens in Western world if it wasn't for Christian missionaries. So,
yup, the
fair
Christian
play to them.
missionaries,
Yeah.
I know, yeah.
They did something.
And so yeah, the whole concept of how often you evangelize and the responsibility, I think it varies from person to person. If you have a real shy person, you can't expect someone who's really shy to talk up about their faith all the time.
Sure. Just to get back to the point, so I was questioning you about your belief in an afterlife, because it seems very much to be just an extension of your life as it is now, which could be viewed as an immortality of sorts, right?
Yeah.
Because I know some people will view it as more my essence, my life essence gets reabsorbed into the cosmic
Cosmos.
ether, as it were.
Yeah.
And I don't like that idea at all. If I believed in God, I would very much ascribe to your idea of an afterlife, because that's the most comforting one. The idea that my life essence, who gives a fuck about my life essence?
Yeah.
My life essence isn't who I am. It's the same problem I have with reincarnation. What the fucking difference does it make if my life essence is somehow being reinstated every time I die into something else? It's going to have its own life. It's going to have its own.
It doesn't matter anything to you if you don't remember the life that came before you.
I'm still going to be gone.
Yeah.
I'm still going to be dead.
Yeah,
as far as it actually matters. So basically, what I wanted to get to is that. So, do you fear mortality?
No.
No, not at all.
No.
Even in a more immediate sense, I'm going to kill you,
Tim.
I've been. That's what I'm getting to. I'm going to murder you, Tim.
I've been in a lot of those scenarios already. Like.
Well, I'm going to die.
Yeah. Two car crashes, like, and
sweet,
and like you be in weird points where you've real moments of that terror, that initial, you feel it in your guts rising through you that I'm outnumbered here, this is a bad situation. But I have no fear of death. I feel of a wheelchair.
A what?
A wheelchair.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. That's
absolutely.
That's my only real genuine fear is quadriplegic.
Being quadriplegic, even being
I think, and this is real selfish and egotistical to say, but I feel I'd be one of the good paraplegics.
How do you mean?
Not paraplegic. Like
You'd be like
this
one
is
of
so ignorant. No, I retract that. It was like half joke, half serious. Like.
You'd be one of the inspiring ones.
Yeah, you'd love to think
you'd be one of the ones that
like
you see them and they're like
doing pull-ups with a wheelchair and they're jacked and they're.
Isn't paraplegic below the neck?
Yeah. I don't know what it is for just your legs.
Quadriplegic, I think.
No, quadriplegic is your four limbs, quad.
Oh.
I don't know what it is for just your legs. Paralyzed, I suppose.
Paralyzed. But like someone who's quadriplegic and they're like, I'm going to be the world's greatest swimmer. And then they just get tossed into the fucking Olympic pool out of their wheelchair. And then they go fucking bombing down the end. You'd be one of those.
Yeah.
One of those that people that like are fully bodily able to look at that and be like, wow, if they can do it, I can.
Yeah. That's what I'd love to imagine.
Yeah, but no.
But that's not.
No, I don't have the strength for that.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, it's amazing to see these people. I remember seeing this TED talk of this girl that had like fibromyalgia, I think. And I don't know, maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing. Her lungs were filling up with fluid constantly. Is that fibromyalgia?
Cystic fibrosis.
Cystic fibrosis, that's the one. And she had been given like a death sentence at a certain age, and she was just giving her TED talk and being like, yeah,
Still here.
still here, one, and two, giving this like inspiring speech about how, I found meaning in my life and all this kind of stuff. And you look at it, you'd be like, my God, I would not have the strength of will to do that. I would give up. I would shut down. Because when I was like really fucking depressed, one of the biggest things that centered around, and one of the things that made it so bad, was this idea of permanence. I would feel like shit, and I'd go like, fucking hell, is this what I'm going to feel like for the rest of my life? And that is what would scare the shit out of me the most. I think people can put up with almost anything if they have an end date.
If they know it's temporary.
If I could be told that I was going to be in absolute hell for 5 years, but then after that I'd be fine. I mean, obviously it would suck. I would be suffering, but it wouldn't be as bad. Whereas if you are in pain and you have no reason to believe that you will ever not be in pain, how do you find hope in that? How do you find something to live for?
And I've seen very sad cases like that. I know how many people know.
Being blind too, that's another one.
Oh yeah, being blind is any of the senses, man.
I could lose any other sense. I'd be fine. I could lose my hearing.
Yeah,
I could lose my sense of smell.
Yeah.
Sense of smell. Come on.
Yeah, you get over the sense of
Yeah,
smell.
you're not
right?
going to kill yourself for last. I miss the smell of bread. Come on. Popping a fucking gun in your mouth. Taste,
But there's one girl I know, like, and she collapsed one day at school, fell down the stairs.
Whoops.
And they weren't sure what was wrong, and it turns out she is, and I'm not even able to give the full analysis of it because I don't know the ins and outs of the science, but some sort of a degenerative spine condition, and her life is over just like that. And she's got this, I don't know if it's still there, but she had this open wound on the back of her skull that just wouldn't heal, and all her spine had to be fused. She's in constant pain, high painkillers, seriously sedated, and nothing touches on her. Like, goes to like these pain management counselling sessions and all this kind of crack, and she's wheelchair bound forever. She's a very talented musician, and just literally just one day, just that's it. Man, the flipping suffering that they've gone through is absolutely unreal.
I mean, I definitely couldn't put up with it. That would be like, generally, if I were at the point where I am paralyzed or blind, that'd be it. That'd be the end of me.
But then you see, this is the thing: is what gets those people through.
I don't know. I mean, they, obviously I do know they find their own sort of meaning, and they find the things that they value, and they find things that they can still do, and things that they can pour their energy into, and that for them is enough. That would be enough for me. As well, enfeeblement. I don't fear death so much as I fear enfeeblement.
Yeah.
If I can live a good long life, I would rather live 60 years and still be able to move around and not be in constant pain every time I take a fucking step, and have my mind, as opposed to live to 80.
Your camera's just died there now.
Oh, okay.
So no, it was flashing.
I'll just finish the point. As opposed to live to 80 and be more or less bed bound.
Yeah.
Like, I will take 20 years away just to be,
Yeah, able-bodied.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Give me 2 seconds now. Right.
But yeah, sleep, I think, here's what I'd say about it. I think I'm past the point of active suffering, and I'm at the point of recovery, right?
Yeah.
And as far as psychologically is concerned, I've more or less got that shit under control. It's just a lot of the physiological stuff that my body took a fucking batter over these last 2 years,
Yeah.
On high dosages of medication that I should never have been on in the first place. Do
you think they gave you wrong medication? Like,
no,
shit that was too strong?
No. I mean, I think I was on too high doses, but I don't think they were doing me any good, and I think they were sort of belaying the progress that I could have been making by putting. Yes, the way that I look at antidepressants, it's like putting a bandage on a fucking bullet wound. They're painkillers. That's what they are.
Yeah.
And they weren't getting me to the point where what they're meant to do. What antidepressants are meant to do, right? They're not meant to cure you of your depression. They're not happy pills, you know. They get you to the point where you should be able to take care of your own problems.
That's what a lot of people don't understand when they go take
Use it as a crutch. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is why if anyone was to ask me, should I go on antidepressants, I would say no. Because
Unless you can acknowledge that they're to get you to a point where you can put your life in order so that you can now step off them and you'll be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And for some people that is what they have been, and that's great.
Yeah.
For me, I found they weren't getting me to that point,
Yeah.
and they were actually preventing me from getting to that point because I was using them as a crutch, one, and two, because they were making me so fucking numb that I was incapable of actually making any productive action towards recovery, right? I only just came off quetiapine there like 2 months ago. 3 months ago now, probably, more or less. Some halfway through December.
I think
2.5 months.
I think you told me just after you finished it. But I thought I had a face-to-face conversation with you a while ago and you told me you were off.
I was on two things. I was sertraline rather, and I was on quetiapine.
SSRI, is it?
Yeah, serotonin was an SSRI. Quetiapine was an antipsychotic, apparently.
Okay.
Sounds fucking crazy. No. Antipsychotics, the terminology doesn't actually mean in the medical community what it means in the sort of
colloquial terms.
Yeah, exactly. But I just came off quetiapine there a couple of months ago, and the SSRI came off like 6 months ago, and I can honestly say, like, I don't think I actually started to genuinely improve until I came off them. Until I came off them, I started making actual fucking steps towards it. Because I was still, even after like that was like almost a year and a half into it, right? I'm feeling like shit almost every fucking day, and I just got to the point where I was like, okay, one of two things are going to happen. Either one, this is permanent, and at that point, what's fucking stopping me from trying? Or it isn't. And then that just means all I gotta do is just find what works and then just wait. Yeah. Be patient.
And that's what the antidepressants can do, is they provide you with that breathing space.
If they can get you to that point, absolutely. They didn't get me to that point, and I've found the things that have are just healthy living in general, you know, exercising. The big three. Well.
Sleep, diet, exercise.
And I mean, again, diet and exercises, those I could control. Sleep I couldn't. I'm still struggling with that a little bit. Yeah. But it's coming back. It's coming back slowly but surely.
Did you have sleep before your episode?
Yes.
Because I don't remember you fucking sleeping well before.
No, I didn't sleep very well, but the problem is that before the episode, honestly, like, a lot of people with depression should really look back and accept a certain level of responsibility, right? A lot of people try to frame their depression in this narrative of, oh, it's so unfair, why did this happen to me, you know, oh, why won't it stop, you know, all this kind of stuff. And if you keep framing it like that, you're never going to recover.
Well, that's the victim mentality, and that's the problem with victimhood, is that you absorb yourself with any ability to then step out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me anyways, it was 100% my fault.
Yeah.
100%. And sleep was a big thing that I was neglecting in my life, not because I couldn't sleep, because I didn't sleep. You know, I would like stay up until late into the night just fucking watching YouTube and fucking playing games and stupid bullshit like that, you know.
Childish behaviour.
Yeah. Because I was like, oh, I don't
supervising, I can stay awake.
Yeah. And so that fucked me sleep wise. And then I found like little things as well. Like, honestly, man, when I noticed, you know, I when I first had it, like, I looked and I was like, oh my god, the weed drove me mad. You know, I have drug-induced psychosis and I have OCD and all this kind of bullshit. What had happened is that I noticed now that before that I was actually having panic attacks before that.
You just never recognized it?
I never recognized it as a panic attack.
What did you recognize it as?
Intense suicidal intonation. It would happen every now and then where at night I would get these moments of like, you know, my heart would seize up and my stomach would sink and I'd be like, I'd be like fucking freaking out. And the idea of suicide would be what would occur to me, right? Yeah. And so that would be what was floating around in my head. So I was like, oh, suicide. And so I took this as an idea of like, oh my god, I want to kill myself. And if I get up and I go to the kitchen, I'm going to get a knife and I'm going to kill myself, you know? It was just that. It was just anxiety. It was anxiety brought on by poor living. And but
you also have to remember though, you like, there may be some trauma from your childhood that that you didn't consciously address. Like, you are from a separated house, and whether you feel that or not, that shit does have an impact.
They separated in the past like 2 years.
Doesn't matter. Like, oh, sorry, what did you say there?
They separated in the past 2 years. They were together and took up until then.
Were you in the middle of your episode then when they separated?
No. It was near it.
Before? Just before?
Yeah.
That's
Not just before.
literally precisely my point.
A couple of months before.
Yeah. Now, for full disclosure, the mic and the camera are rolling, but I will fucking delete all this. Don't worry. It will be gone.
Here's another little thing that no, you can use this. I don't care. People might look at this, and a lot of people tend to look at this kind of thing like, oh, he's talking about it. Oh, it's very brave. For some people, sure. For me, it's not bravery because I genuinely don't care. You know, I think for a lot of people that have genuinely suffered from depression, they get to the point where it's
nothing matters.
The idea of people, no, not that nothing matters.
No, I wasn't going to say nothing matters. That go on anyway. You finish the point.
It's like the idea that people are going to judge because I'm depressed. If you're genuinely depressed, you don't give a hot shit about that anymore.
That's what I was trying to say.
The hierarchy
you get to that point where people's opinions don't matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for a while there, it was like on a negative sense because I was like, the idea that you shouldn't care what other people think is great advice for a fucking psychopath. You should absolutely care what people think, but you should just mediate it. You know, you should curate the amount of value and credence that you give to other people's opinions. You know, like I care what you think, Tim, because you're a friend and you're someone whose opinion I respect. I don't give a hot shit who, you know,
Larry off the street.
some random guy off the
Says
street.
your fucking t-shirt stinks.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about that guy. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. You know, I don't care because I don't place any value in his opinion. Yeah. Because why would I? You know.
No. We're still there.
I can keep going on this point, but I want to get back to the point that I was initially trying to make, which is accepting responsibility for your own depression, right?
Yes.
And I noticed now that a lot of the things I was doing were one, the negative psychological elements were something that I didn't tackle, and if anything, I actively cultivated. Because back then I used to fetishize sadness, as you know. Yeah. I had this idea.
Everyone does that though. When you asked me about media that makes you emotional, when I said music, like I will actively sit down with a thing and listen to sad music. And while I won't come to tears, there's a certain part of me that does allow itself to feel the emotion in its raw effect, and there is actually something therapeutic about it. I'll finish off and I'll go to bed, and the next day I'll feel refreshed.
Yeah. So, you know, that isn't the kind of fetishization of something. And this is something I do actually want you to conclude, because I think it's something that's very important a lot of people should hear. I hate that I said that. That's such an awful way to set up something you're going to say. It's so important. Everyone should hear it. It's vital for your well-being.
That's just being normal.
I'm above that. I'm better than normal. It's that. Oh, fucking damn it. Oh shit.
Hang on.
Oh yeah.
Fetishization
of sadness. Yeah. Is that I was fetishizing the status of sadness because I inferred and I made an association between depression and intelligence, right? Mm-hmm. Depression, intelligence, and artistry, for example. And I'm not wrong in making those associations, in so much as those associations are incorrect. What I mean by that is that those associations are things that have been made in popular culture for years now.
Association of sadness and intelligence?
Yes. Some of the biggest ones have come out recently, being BoJack Horseman and Rick and Morty. Okay?
And that these mega intelligent people are profoundly depressed.
Absolutely. And that I was fetishizing the status of depression more so than the actual depression. And I was getting to this idea of being like, oh, people will think I'm depressed and will think I'm you know, nuanced and deep and intelligent.
Yeah.
And it didn't help that I was hanging out with people that did think this.
Yeah.
I think I told you a story.
So they kind of they played into it a bit more.
They played into it because they were exactly the audience that I envisioned falling for this bullshit. Mm-hmm. And even at the time I was like, this is bullshit, it didn't stop me from doing it. I still did it. And there was still a visceral part of me that enjoyed it, that enjoyed the idea of people going like, oh, he's so deep. Oh, he's so philosophically mature, you know, all that kind of bullshit. Because I was talking about how depressed I was. It's bollocks. Absolute bollocks. There is no artistry, there is no nobility in depression, okay? There just isn't. And I had this story there, I think I told you about it, where like one of these friends that I've since I haven't fallen out with him because, you know,
distanced.
It's not even that. It's not so dramatic as that. You know, it's just someone that I don't really want to hang out with this person anymore. I don't consider them an active friend. If you know what I mean. I'm still friendly with them, and they're part of like a group of other friends. He's part of the D&D game that I have.
Okay.
He's one of the members of that. But I don't particularly want to hang out with him anymore because he reminds me so fucking much of the person that I was then.
Yeah.
And particularly this was compounded by the fact that at one point we were talking about it, and I was talking about, you know, I don't know, say something about like, yeah, you know, whatever, it's hard. And he made the point, he was like, well, you know, depression can be used as like a conduit for art. And I was like, yeah, that is exactly the kind of bullshit I was thinking before I actually was depressed. That's the kind of bullshit I think, and that's the kind of bullshit only people think when they think they're depressed.
Yeah.
And then you actually become... No. People who are depressed think that. People who have depression realise that's bollocks.
Yeah.
You know? And they realise there's no value to be found at all.
Yeah.
Okay? The only value to be found in it is in getting over it.
Yes. Coming through the trials and being able to then use them as a power stance.
But yeah, accepting responsibility. Oh no, and another little thing that I noticed as well is talking about it isn't brave if I don't care about it. For some people it is brave because they really don't want to talk about it. They really freeze up and they dislike this idea of disclosing it. But partly because I had cultivated this idea of I'm going to talk about my depression and people are going to love me for it, I've gone over that sort of stigma of talking about mental health.
Yeah.
By now I'm not, you know, aggrandizing it and
yeah.
sort of looking for, you know, like, oh, you're so brave kind of bullshit, or that you're so smart or whatever. And as well, the idea that whenever you tell people, or whenever in a larger scale you find these people that are like, oh, we suffer from depression or whatever, one of these go-to phrases of comfort is, I suffered from depression too, you're not alone, as if that's meant to comfort me. That makes me feel worse. For one, the idea that anyone is in as much pain as I am, that sucks.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to have to go through this. If I could be assured that I was the only person in the world with depression, that would make me feel better than the idea that, oh, I'm not alone. I wish I was alone, because it doesn't help me that you have
that
depression.
wishing you were alone is part of the psychology that fetishize the sadness in the first place.
No. I'm not
it is though. It sounds
like
it. This whole concept of I'm the only one who feels this profound level of sadness.
Okay.
I'm unique in my suffering.
That is fair. That could be that is a legitimate thing to extrapolate from it.
Yeah.
The point that I'm trying to make is more so that being able to commiserate with someone about your pain doesn't lessen your pain. The idea that someone was like, I'm depressed too, so it's okay, we'll get through this together. I'm like, whenever I heard that, I was like, what the fuck do you know? You're still depressed. What can you fucking tell me about
the people
depression?
who kind of say that, again, it's a nice little phrase for people who don't have the words to branch it up, because like what the real impact behind that statement is that it's meant to be an act of solidarity. Like, if your father died and someone else's father's died comes and says,
no,
yeah, bro, I got you.
Don't get me wrong, I get it. I get that it can be comforting to know that you're not insane.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
I know that's a big fear. When I first started feeling it, I was like, oh my god, this is unlike anything I've ever felt before. I had no frame of reference for it. And so I genuinely thought I was going insane.
Yeah.
You know? And to a certain extent, hearing people describe situations and circumstances that you had found yourself and sensations that you had in such an accurate way, it made you go like, oh, I'm not insane, I'm just depressed or whatever.
Yeah.
And again, I'm the same thing as being like, it's not brave to talk about it. I'm saying for me, it's not brave to talk about it because I don't care about it. And for me, I found no comfort in the idea that other people were also suffering, or that somehow this made us better. What I did find a lot of comfort in were these accounts of people who had gone through it. That's what I love to hear. That's
kind of what that phrase is trying to get to, is the fact that we can get through this.
Like,
we have gotten through this.
It's coming from people that are currently depressed.
It depends on the way you phrase
You're
it.
not alone, you know. Like, I'm there too. I'm in this same.
Yeah, but like it could be like, you'll survive. It's okay. You're not alone. In other words, I've come through it. I'm alright. I'm still alive.
If they're saying it being like, I've come through it, then that's great. That is the kind of shit I loved to hear. I love to hear that from people because, again, as I said there earlier,
it's that little bit of faith.
It's permanence. Permanence is what was the worst part.
Yeah.
Right. If I could just be assured by someone like, hey, just so you know, 2 years and then you're good, I would have been like, that's a fucking weight off my shoulders, you know. But
And that's actually part of things. Have you ever heard of the death race? It's like a crazy marathon, for want of a better term. Part of it is that they won't tell you when the race is going to end. They don't tell you the finish line, and they'll come up to you midway with a bus and be like, "You can get on this bus now, and you can leave this race. You don't have to go through this." And it's a massive psychologically challenging race that he goes out of his way. I can't remember the name of your man who created it, but he goes out of his way to throw as many psychological obstacles as well as physical.
What is the actual?
It's a marathon it's an ultra marathon.
Just a really long marathon.
Yeah. But real tough, like, and real bad, hard,
I'd like
tough
to do a
conditions.
marathon at some point.
Marathon, yeah.
I
But
don't
this
know
this
how
this
well
stuff
I'd
is
handle
next
it.
level. Like.
Yeah, no, I don't know about that.
But part of the mental torture is not telling people when they're going to finish.
Yeah, that is like, for me, that was the biggest part, you know, because whenever I'd feel pain, it would never be the pain in the moment. It would be the idea that this pain isn't going away.
Yeah.
You know, and that your life is essentially over.
I want to bring it back now to earlier on as well, if that's right with yourself.
Let's do it.
So we've got about 3.5 minutes of content on why I brought you here. So let's try and see if we can add at least another minute to that. Like.
Yeah, 5 arguments.
So so Paul is obviously a devout Catholic apologist, and I'm obviously a Christian, and so the audience don't get a lot of contradicting points. So I was hoping to bring you on as a big, well, this is why this is bollocks and boom, 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 so that the atheists of the world can go, yes, Tim's getting his comeuppance. But that didn't happen. What would be good for these kind of episodes is if we had comments, we had YouTube comments being like, yeah, well, what about this? And that way we can literally go, that's a good one to hammer on, and we can actually work that one out. You putting together one side of the argument and me putting together the other.
I think the problem is because we've had this argument so many times.
We have,
that we've kind of worked through a lot of these more obscure and potentially more interesting questions. And the problem with that is that they're not occurring to us because we've reached a sort of finality in it where we've been like, oh yeah, that's our point, that's your point. We've released a satisfying conclusion.
Like this, like the fact that I didn't even say half of what I would believe or what the other opinions I have, because it feels like a broken record for me. And it feels like, oh, she knows I know this.
Exactly.
And so I don't bother.
And the problem is that it's obviously it's a different form. You know,
yeah, so I could repeat, like, if we repeated an entire ramen conversation, people could be like, wow, but we could be bored to tears going through it again.
Being the same things, yeah. I think that would be good. I think maybe what we should have done is prepare just a little something.
Yeah, this whole concept of preparation is something I may need to deal with, because I've had a guest who really pushed for preparation, and I fought him on it. I was like, man, back off on this, alright? This is my gig here. This is what I do.
Yeah. I think the problem is that you think authenticity is somehow negated by preparation.
Yeah, I do.
And that seems...
But then you see, for me, authenticity also then is a flexible enough term that I can say, in an authentic manner, here is an episode we prepared.
Yeah.
And they become a special segment.
I mean...
rather than... But you see, then it's something you need to address prior to it. Is this one you prepared or is it not?
Well, you got to remember as well that you are making this for the consumption of others. Think about this. There's the reason why when you watch a movie, people don't talk like they talk in real life, because that would be fucking agonizing to listen to. For them going and going on tangents and going all this kind of bullshit. There's a reason where when dialogue isn't written in a realistic way, and the ones that do it, they're awful. There's only one person that's been able to do it that I can't remember the name, but I can't remember the movie. It was the Karowski method. And the way that he used realistic dialogue was that he would have characters talk over each other, and he would have this talking over be representative of sort of interpersonal conflict and stuff, and so that worked. But characters or script writers that try to incorporate realistic dialogue by just manufacturing these pauses and going it's boring to listen to. You don't want to listen to that shit. You don't want to listen to the build up to the point. You want to hear the point. The build to the point is perfectly acceptable in the conversation between people that are having the conversation, because it's viewed as just that's the part that you have to go through to get to the point. But for somebody who's giving up their time, their free time, to actually consume this piece of media as opposed to any other piece of media they could be consuming, you have to provide them with the actual reward.
So this could be something I would like to do, which is what do you prepare?
Instead of a discussion, it should be a debate.
And this is what I'm running through in the back of my head, was that, again, YouTube comments is a great way of finding the inspiration for what to talk about. Now, obviously, you can make up your own questions, and you have direct episodes relating to this where you have researched one side of it, I've researched the other one, and we go head to head on something. And that would be very fun, because that was part of the buzz with Ramen. We got so worked up the first couple of times we've had these conversations. It was, no, man, no, think about this, this, and this. Oh, come on, man, don't be saying that. And it was brilliant. And that has just been...
I think it's because, I mean, if we were to, say, discuss something else of a similar nature, like... just narrative. Say media, for example. You know, media isn't a topic that we've sort of mined, but I mean, religion. Of the 2.5 years that I've known you, a lot of the times our conversations will go into religion.
Yeah.
So that's a topic that we have mined so thoroughly that it's hard to conjure up any sort of authentic.
Yeah.
And again, to provide any sort of thing that's genuinely entertaining.
Yeah.
When we don't have that energy and enthusiasm to go into it. Because it's hard to know what's new for someone else, you know, for what's things that should be covered for someone else when we've already had it all. We've had the full range of conversations on theism, you know. I mean, an interesting one that we've had before a couple of times is individuals that don't have the ability or the opportunity to become aware about God. You know, of what, how responsible are they for having fate. Again, what would be the point of having it? Because it would just be reiterating points that we've already made, and I think that would be felt in the delivery, and that would be felt in the consumption of it. So
I think we put together...
I think a debate format, because don't get me wrong...
Yeah, I would like to run debates.
I still do enjoy the topic. The topic is still something that interests me.
Yeah. And
I think if I had time to sort of think out the thing and really cover every aspect of it, you know, to have I wouldn't need to write out the full answer, but just have little bullet points. Yeah, cover this, cover this, cover this, cover this. And then once I've covered all that, then my answer will be done. Yeah. And then, you know, move on to the other thing.
Yeah, it's definitely something I'm building on and working towards in the future. I think for today we've got some nice content. We've broken the ice on this new format and experimented with stuff, and that's what crucially what today was about was experiments. So I appreciate you coming on and giving me the afternoon to use you as a dummy.
Fucking nothing else going on.
As a prototype.
COVID. I'm on COVID payments now, actually.
Good.
Yeah, I got it because I was in
no wonder I made you pay for dinner. Yeah.
It's weird how I didn't value it as much. Like if I had if that was money I'd gotten from Dunn's, I would have been like, oh man, I'm wasting so much money. But because it's money that I've been getting for doing fuck all, I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get some more next week. What do I give a fuck? Yeah, give me that €1 lime. Fucking €1 for a lime. 4.50 cents in Tesco. Box.
Madness. Oisin, man, thank you very much for coming on, bro.
Don't touch me.
Give me one of them! Don't do it! Don't do it!
Alright, I'll give you one.
Yes.
There we go. Let's have dinner.